with a large number of schools across the county closed today due to the adverse weather conditions. Meanwhile, Granya's Gap Road in Muff remains closed. It's due to open at 10 a.m. pending weather conditions. The nationwide yellow alert for low temperatures on ice ends at midday, but melted snow could freeze over in parts tonight. However, Brandon Cree from Met Éireann says another weather warning could be issued in the coming hours, but says the end is in sight.
The status yellow low temperature warning is elapsing at midday today. And then after that, we have no warnings in effect. But do keep up to date with Met.ie. As I said, with that ice possible again tonight, there could be just the last of a warning issued later today. But after that, it should be all clear.
Gardaí believe the death of a man whose body was found at a vacant property in Burnfoot earlier this week was a tragic accident. The discovery was made in the Dundrean area at around 2:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Gardaí say foul play is not suspected in the death of the man, who was in his 30s. A post-mortem examination was carried out yesterday by state pathologist Dr Linda Mulligan, the results of which are not being released for operational reasons. A file will now be prepared for the coroner. There's a call on member states to protect EU legislation from changes by social media companies on harmful content. Ireland South MEP Billy Kelleher is reacting to Meta's changes in how it will now deal with harmful content on its platforms. He also wants Commissioner Naman to work closely with the European Commission to crack down on breaches of the law. Mr Kelleher is worried Meta appears to be following Elon Musk's lead on X.
It seems to be the case that Meta have responded to Elon Musk in X with regard to wild statements that are factually incorrect continually on X with no repercussions or consequences. And that is disturbing that we now have Meta following suit as well in terms of allowing harmful content, misinformation, disinformation to be shared online.
A 39-year-old man is due in court in Derry today, charged with a number of drug-related offences, including conspiracy to fraudulently import drugs. He was arrested as part of an investigation by the Police Service of Northern Ireland's Organised Crime Branch in October last and released on bail. He was subsequently arrested again yesterday on suspicion of further offences and charged. As part of the investigation, £20,000 in cash and a vehicle was seized during searches in Derry last year. In addition, police working with Gardaí carried out a further search yesterday. Finally, for weather, a cold day today, staying dry with hazy sunshine, though cloud will thicken later. Highest temperatures of 1 to 3 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Over 60 years ago, the credit union was created not for profit, but for better reasons. For living, for homes, for futures. The credit union. For you, not profit. Credit unions in the Republic of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to the last 9 till Noon Show of the week. It is, of course, Friday, the 10th of January 2025, just after 4 minutes past 9. And coming up on the show, we'll introduce our Friday panel very shortly. Seamus Gunn joins us for the first time in 2025, answering your legal questions. So get them into us if you have a question that can be answered by Seamus. And a little later on, of course, we have That's Entertainment. Michael and Fionnuala back together for that. We want you involved in the conversation throughout. Your views incredibly important, as you know. You can WhatsApp and text 086 60 25000, 086 60 25000. If you want to call the show, it's 07491 25000, and emails arrive, comments at highlandradio.com. If you want to watch the show, you can, of course, if you're at home on the YouTube app, Highland Radio Ireland, on your smart TV or your Fire Stick, or you can carry us around with that app and on Facebook and on the X platform. Right, let's say good morning to former Independent Deputy Thomas Pringle. Thomas, good morning to you. How are you keeping?
Good morning, Greg. How's it going? Well,
it's great to have you on the show. Dust has settled post-election. What's your feelings? How are you feeling?
Yeah, dust has settled. There's a quick run into Christmas afterwards, so that kind of give you a bit of a bit of a break in that there as well too. So now, and beginning of January now, just getting used to it, and we'll have to start looking for work in the coming days. Anyway, so that's the next step along the way, to find something to keep me busy.
Is there an area that you would be particularly interested in? I suppose, given, I mean, you've got a wealth of experience from a political point of view, but maybe you have the luxury to choose an area that you think you could sort of continue to have a positive impact on. Not that everyone does in their work, don't get me wrong, but I hope you understand the question.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I hadn't really thought about it because, I mean, it's the nature of the elections that you can't think about what if you lose,
of course,
and until it happens. But look, I would like to stay involved in some form, and maybe in voluntary groups or something like that there, or something, and some connected to the political field. I think that would be. Unfortunately, that's probably the only experience I have at the moment. The last 15 years has been a TD. That's experience around that I have. So some sort of role in that, I would see myself as maybe. Depends what's available to you.
Yeah, but you say it's all the experience you have. It's really significant experience. Paddy Rooney, PRO of the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital. You've made your career choices now. You're busy, but you'd like your time too, don't you? I don't think you're looking for anything actively, are you, Paddy?
Well, I suppose Thomas had a choice. I had none. The clock stopped in my career when I came to 65 or 60, and no choice. So, it's all voluntary work for me, unpaid. There's plenty of that going. There's plenty of unpaid work going, Thomas, unfortunately, not as much as paid work.
All right.
Unfortunately, I can't afford to take that.
All right. Emer McGuinness is joining us. I'm not sure if she has joined us. She's renowned for her technical issues. Never her fault, always the broadband. Are you there, Emer? No? Okay. Well, Emer will join us at some point. I'll stick with you guys if that's okay. Just hearing on the news there about Elon Musk, what's your view on the influence of the ex-owner and Trump's right-hand man, Elon Musk? He's having a significant impact, it would seem, in terms of influencing global politics. He's endorsed the AfD in Germany and is actively trying to remove Labour from power in Britain. His intentions have now turned to Ireland, describing unverified claims, in fairness, that illegal immigrants get shorter sentence here as messed up. He's called the IRA a plush toy in response to a post about Irish immigration from a far-right account. Is his influence such now that he simply can't be ignored? I'll start with you, Thomas Pringle. I'd say your politics leanings are far apart, but, you know, it's clear he has a significant influence. So is that a good thing? A different voice in the political sphere? Is it dangerous? I don't know. What's your view?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously he's using the platform that he has as his own personal vehicle to pursue his own personal agenda, and it is. Like, from my point of view, it'd be totally the opposite, thank God, of any of the political views I would have, and I think it's worrying, you know, that somebody can use that office, and especially in a way that it's not putting himself forward for election, or that they're and it's supporting who he sees as alternatives, or what he sees as a view, and there is a risk that he can use that support to actually influence elections, and that would be difficult. I don't know how you actually prevent that, or work against it, prevent that from happening either as well, Greg. So it's very hard to gauge. But I mean, we have seen over the years very powerful political people support candidates in different elections. We've seen it in England, where Rupert Murdoch and stuff like that there, and his newspapers were supporting different political parties over the years as well too. So it's not unusual. I suppose probably what's unusual about this is the amount of reach that he has, and basically, if anybody has a mobile phone with Twitter or X on it, they're getting bombarded with this information, and that's probably the slight difference. But I don't know really what you do in relation to counteracting that.
Maybe it's just part of modern society. He would see his voice as the alternative voice to the mainstream media that is pushing, you know, maybe your middle ground independence, your Fianna Fáils, your Fine Gaels, your Labours, your Tories, or whatever it might be. And he is the alternative voice that's been missing for so long because of the legacy media.
Well, I thought it's not an alternative factual voice anyway, and basically, if we all had that platform that we could rant and say whatever we wanted on, it would be ideal for everybody, and and that's the real danger with it is that how realistic or what he's saying is, or whether it's the truth or not. That's the big issue with it, and and he's just using it to his own personal ends. Hopefully. The wish, and you would hope that the electorate, wherever in whatever country they are, would see beyond that as well too. But I think the influence is there, and I think it's probably something that political parties will have to live with. But I mean, and the issue is whether political parties will lean into it or try and go against it. Hopefully, if they have the courage, they'll stand up and say what they're saying is wrong, rather than trying to plumb it and make lessen the impact or
it's an interesting
from him.
It's an interesting observation you made there, because and the lady's name escapes me at the moment. Maybe one if you can help me out, but the Labour representative who is in charge of whether or not inquiries have progressed in relation to the child rape gangs that were ongoing in Britain, and he called her a witch and was very derogatory towards her. 2 years ago, I'd say 2 years ago, the political class in Britain would have united to say you cannot speak about someone like that. But many in the Tory government who were in power whilst these rape gangs were doing what they were doing actually backed him in his language of her. So you posed the question, they either oppose it or lean into it. I think we're already seeing in large numbers the leaning into it.
Yeah, and we've seen that in Ireland in the last couple of years as well too, in terms of the far right and what they're saying in Ireland. That people have political parties have all leaned into it and not challenged it, what has been said, and that's the danger, and that's where leads to the greater influence that people like him have, and that there's that people start to take on and support his views rather than actually questioning them and challenging them.
Yep, that's Thomas Pringle's view, and I'm sure there's many of you listening out there that disagree with Thomas and would agree with Elon Musk, and that's fine. We're not here to try and convince you otherwise. It's just people's differences of opinions. So, if you have €45 billion in your pocket, Paddy, sorry, you can buy a global social media platform and become as influential as any elected public representative, and that seems to be what Elon Musk has done.
You absolutely can, and I've seen I read somewhere, I can't remember where, but I read somewhere during the week that Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, has actually issued a directive to all of the Labour MPs in the party, in the House of Commons, to stay off social media or not to make any public comment about Elon Musk and about what he's doing at the moment, and particularly, I suppose, about his close friend Donald Trump, about he's saying about Canada, Greenland, and the Panama Canal, and so on. So they're actually leaning into it. They're not challenging him, because there seems to be a big fear on everybody's part here, is that they don't want to upset Elon Musk, because he can turn on you in a very vicious way. And by association, then, if you're not Elon Musk's friend, you're not Donald Trump's friend either. And because he's so unpredictable, people are not sure what he's going to do. For so long as media has become a thing, we've had very big players in the media industry. And I'm talking about people like Randolph Hearst in America. Thomas referenced Robert Maxwell, and you had Rupert Murdoch and people like that. And they were very powerful people, and they owned a lot of different newspapers, either broadsheets or tabloids. But you had to buy the paper to see it. And if you didn't buy it, you didn't hear it and so on and so forth, the way they were pushing it. Now, of course, this is, as Thomas made reference to, the reach that they have now through social media. All you have to do is have a mobile phone. And it doesn't matter whether you live in Alaska or South Africa or Pakistan or wherever, you can see this. And I suppose the disappointing thing about all this is fact and truth now don't really matter. It's just, if powerful people say something often enough, then suddenly it becomes the truth and it becomes fact.
But just to that point, Paddy, if you don't mind, like, there is no doubt Rupert Murdoch and the Sun newspaper and other newspapers did swing elections the way they wanted. They had secret meetings in buildings on Fleet Street and said, right, well, we'll back you probably for this, that and thon. And whilst newspapers don't have the reach they had now, everyone had a paper in their house at one point or another in Britain. So this people pushing back against Elon Musk, is it just because they don't like their politics? It was okay. It's okay for George Soros to do it with his billions, and it's okay for, Fleet Street, as it used to be, to do it because they kind of might align with what the majority think. But as soon as an alternative voice like Elon Musk comes out, all of a sudden we need to do something about it.
Except that all of these very rich and powerful people, the likes of Elon Musk, would say, for instance, they're pushing a very specific agenda, and it is pro-market, pro-business, low intervention, minimal government intervention, anti-Islam, all of that. You can put all of that stuff into the round, and whether it's Donald Trump or Elon Musk or people of that like mind, there seems to be a commonality about the things that they're talking about. And all that is fine. But of course, it's not fine, because there is huge consequences, we'll say, for instance, for workers right across the globe in relation to, if you have a push a market agenda and you push the minimalized regulation and minimal government intervention, that means that protections that workers have all over the world, that they could disappear in a whim. I mean, if you're looking at stuff in the media at the moment about Shein and Temu, those two companies that are, they sell very cheap tat or whatever, but it's companies that originate in China. But there's issues about forced labour and slavery and all that, producing those goods. I mean, who's going to stand up for them? People, they aren't being looked after at the moment. And people think in Ireland, well, we've got all these rights here and that's so far away, we don't need to know about that. But what happens when this comes to our door? If, as Thomas said, that all the political parties and institutions start to lean in on this, and they don't confront it because they're afraid of upsetting these people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Eamon McGuinness, thanks so much for sticking with us. Slightly disadvantaged, I think, because of the technical issues, but we're talking about the influence Elon Musk has on politics now, and it's ever growing and it's global. Do you welcome an alternative voice? Do you welcome his platform that platforms alternative voices, or do you have any concerns?
Look, I was just listening. Well, I was trying to listen to what two gentlemen were saying, and I have to agree with them. Social media, Elon Musk, it's all crazy. Political, there's people. I seem to be gone there again, am I?
Oh, that's okay. We're just going to focus on the audio, Emer.
Yeah, okay. Look, politics should be left to the politicians, and that's, the only people that should be involved. If you're elected to represent and, do your job as a politician, that's where it should remain. The whole world has gone crazy, if you ask me.
It does feel like that sometimes. It really, really does. And it's getting harder and harder to find the truth. And I just think that over time, will the truth become less important? I'm not laying this at the door of the floor or whatever of Elon Musk. It's just, it does feel like it's gone crazy. You could say anything, do anything, create any image, create any video.
That's correct. And there's no, there doesn't seem to be, there's no follow-up on anything that, social media has allowed happen. I don't know. As I've said time before, it's great one way, it's not so good in another.
All right, Emer, stay where you are. Morning panel. Musk is a mix of the bad guys from the Bond movies, too much influence, which will only get worse when Trump takes power again. That's whilst their relationship is as it is, because they are two types of characters. You can see them falling out quite quickly. The Irish government have been pushing an anti-Irish sentiment for the last few years, and no one's saying anything about it. Okay, we're going to have more from our guests after this break.
The 9 till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
If you have a job to do over the weekend, Watson Hire have a brilliant weekend hire deal available. Get any item on Friday, keep it until Monday, and only pay for 1 day's hire. That's 3 days hire on any equipment or machinery for the price of one, making it even easier to get the job sorted. To book, call Watson Hire at Lisnen and Letterkenny on 916-7777.
Cooney's Home Interiors' biggest ever winter sale is now on, with massive reductions across all ranges of sofas, dining, mattresses and bedroom. Floor clearance on many items with incredible savings to be had. Call in and grab that bargain. You won't be disappointed at Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park.
At Specsavers, we've got hearing devices that can stream music or movies. Ones that are good in crowds, rechargeable battery ones that are good at home, ones that are good in the great outdoors, ones that connect to phones, ones that fit in your ear, ones that fit over your ear, ones that fit in wherever you happen to be. We've even got ones with the latest advanced tech, like the Phonak Infinio Sphere. And they're all available at great Specsavers prices. So book a free hearing check today. OK Hearing is not OK.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time is 21 minutes past 9. It's Friday's 9 till noon show. We have our Friday panel with us. Taoiseach Simon Harris has said government formation talks are in the landing zone. Mr Harris said it may be tight to have a coalition in place before the Dáil resumes on January 22nd. However, he believes it can be done. The regional independent group, fronted by former Fine Gael Minister Michael Lowry, are the favourites to support the formation of government, having already secured the position of Cam Corla for Verona Murphy. The Healy-Rae brothers, Michael and Danny, may also feature. But at what cost? Are you in favour of this kind of behind closed door dealings? What's your view, Paddy Rooney?
Well, Greg, we're going to have to see the roll of the dice here. I mean, it's unlikely that, right, so the discussions that are taking place at the moment are confidential, but when there is an agreement about who supports the government and who doesn't, well, that will become public, because it's highly unlikely that if any TD or TDs plural, if they achieve some form of goodies from the government, that they're actually going to keep it quiet, because they're going to have to advertise it in their own constituency. I mean, Senan Maloney had an article in The Independent there a while ago just about this particular issue. And he made reference in particular to the two Healy-Rae brothers in Kerry. This wasn't, he was given as a sort of an example and about what they could get and what they're likely to get. And he made mention of the fact that, and Thomas is going to have to help me out here because I can't remember the last version of the National Development Plan was about 4 years ago.
Yeah,
so there would have been a lot of stuff in that around, would say, for instance, if we're talking about Kerry now, we're talking about things like the upgrade of the fishing pier in Dingle, some work to be done on the commercial pier in Tarbert, the road from Killarney to Cork and Limerick to Cork to go through Kerry, and all of this kind of stuff. But all of that stuff has been already agreed, and this would be rebadged together. But the big thing for the two Healy-Rae brothers, I suppose, is and Thomas, actually, you spoke on Greg's programme before, a couple of months before the election, about your experience in dealing with government ministers and dealing with departments and so on and so forth, about delays and shabbiness in responses, whatever. One of the things that TDs that support the government, I suspect, Senan Maloney says, are going to demand is some form of a back channel access to government ministers and to senior officials within a department, that they have an issue about either concerning an individual or a community or a group of people, that they want rapid access and a rapid response to that. And I suppose the other thing that they're going to want as well is that when a government are going to make an announcement about something specific, either specific to Kerry or it relates to Kerry, is that the Healy-Raes are going to hear about it first, and they're going to announce it first.
But that's problematic when...
There's no harm in any of that.
Well, it is. There is a lot of harm in it if you're a Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael TD.
There is, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But you have to contrast all of this stuff, right, with the first time that this ever hit the headlines back in 1981 when Tony Gregory got into a relationship with Charlie Hoy. And Tony Gregory was a new TD at the time, and he was representing Dublin Central, which was the most socially deprived constituency in the whole country, and I believe it still is. And he was looking for very specific, very measurable issues around blocks of flats to be knocked down and to be replaced by proper housing, and for things like amenities for parks for adults and community centres for people for recreation, playgrounds for children and so on and so forth. And specifically around that time, because the proliferation of the heroin epidemic in Dublin became a big thing, he wanted to guard the response to the distribution of heroin, and he also wanted treatment facilities for people who were already addicted. So they were very specific, they were very measurable, and they were very deliverable. And I suspect that the stuff that's going to come, if anything arrives here, it'll be more grey, I suspect.
You're correct, right? And that's all fine. But the elephant in the room for me is we don't have a TD that's a part of these negotiations. We don't have the goodies coming to us or whatever. We're not getting the advantage. And the wider question is, and whilst you say a lot of this will be public, a lot of it won't be public as well. Is it the right way to do politics whereby, a small group of people can benefit their specific areas because they can and vote even against their conscience to keep two big parties in power? Like, that's fine if you're in Kerry, but we're not in Kerry, we're in Donegal. And is this really an acceptable way to do politics, even though it's accepted that is the way that politics is done?
Greg, well, we do actually have that TD, and his name is Charles Ward. Right, he's an independent.
He's not
TD.
negotiating. Yes, but
and
he's
I'm actually
not
very on that point now, because I was going to say it anyway. I'm actually very, very disappointed to see that his name is never actually mentioned. That all of the other 24, 25 TDs in the country, however many there are or wherever, that they're leaving him out there, because he's got a very specific issue.
He does, but he's not. But he's with a different grouping that aren't negotiating with government.
I know that.
So that's why his name is going to be absent.
But that's the way democracy is, Greg, and that's the way that the
I don't think that's the way people have voted. To be honest with you, I don't think people voted.
Well,
I don't think that's.
Gael are only one seat short of getting them elected to government, and they're going to get 5 or 6 comfortably TDs to support them, and that's just the way that it is. I mean, what is the alternative?
Well, discuss it and see if people are opposed to it and seek reform. I don't know what's the point of any of it. We want to just jack it all in. Emer McGuinness is with us. Switch to the phone line, Emer. My apologies, you bear with us. The question was being posed there. We have the independents now negotiating with government, presumably with some benefits to their areas or even to them personally. Who's to say? Yeah. Are you in favour of this? Is this part of democracy? If we had an independent who was about to sort of secure a level 4 status for Letterkenny University Hospital, we'd be happy with it then. We'd be doing cartwheels.
We would, but we don't, unfortunately. Just as Paddy was saying on Charles Ward will probably take a while to get settled in and to gain his political legs, I suppose, so we'll give him time. But on the issues that we're discussing, do I think it's, on especially Michael Lowry issue, I find that atrocious actually. But then there's some also very good politicians, involved in this regional independent group. I can understand. You're a politician. I look at Michael Fitzmaurice there as an example, and I talk to him quite a bit. He has been fighting. Thomas would probably tell you the same. You fight on certain issues and loads of different issues, and you're constantly trying to gain ground. So, it's very difficult when you're kind of left out of things. So to be maybe involved in this alliance or to get into government and maybe have a little bit more, of course you're going to push for that. We did know that was going to happen. Do I agree with the way it's done? Absolutely not. But that's it. That's what we knew we were heading that direction,
Yeah, and like we still don't really know at what cost support for a vote of no confidence comes at. We know there was a couple of those votes during the last term of the Dáil, and meetings were had and agreements were reached. We don't really know what happened there.
Yeah,
is that the way it should be? Should these agreements be fully published, costed?
That'll all, I suppose, cost money, and sure, everything. Look at Greg. The reality is everything is done, signed, sealed, delivered, and dusted before we're told about it. In every step of the way. What I do find laughable is the discussions or what we've listened to from Micheál Martin and Simon Harris the last 2 days on what they have to say about Michael Lowry. They're almost afraid to say what they really. Well, they're not saying what they really think. And probably just to get this deal done and over the line. So, and that kind of worries me in a way also when you look at they were also supposed to be talking to Independent Ireland Group. And so, it'll be interesting to actually see how it plays out. But,
all right, let's get
in both groups, I think there's some very good politicians in that. Mm-hmm. But I suppose there's good politicians all over the country. So,
yeah. Thomas Pringle, what's your view on it all?
Yeah, I find it interesting, Greg, that all the focus is on the independents and the deals that they'll be doing, but the reality is that there's 15 people that'll have a far bigger say in what goes and where in the constituencies. And we've seen it in Donegal in the recent past as well, too, where having a minister or a junior minister in the constituency is more important, but there's never any focus on them. And all the discussion is on Charles Ward and what he's going to deliver. But Charlie McConalogue has been minister for the last 5 years. Joe McHugh was minister before that, and and what have they delivered, and what are they delivering for the county? And that's what people should be focusing on, I believe. Because that's where the decision making. They're supposedly at the heart of decision making, and we've seen how that has delivered. In relation to the independents that are going to support the government, that is the nature of independents, and they'll do a deal for their constituency. Yes, I do believe that the deal should be publicised, and it'd be very interesting to have a look and see, as a lot of the stuff will actually be stuff that is going to be delivered anyway. That's what Paddy was saying, that it might be delivered a year faster than normal, or a couple of years ahead of schedule, or that, but it's stuff that is already on the pipeline.
Like what could potentially have been the relief road in Letterkenny, or the bridge, or whatever, that's on the table, but it's brought forward. So with all that in mind, Thomas, if you get a group of independents, 7 or 8 or 9 independents, and they come together under one umbrella and then agree to support a government come what may, in your view, and it's not a loaded question, does that make a mockery of independence, or does it show the power an independent can have?
I suppose in the Irish context, independence is a very unusual thing, and the overall context and the Irish context is very extreme, and there is the variations. We've seen that over the last number of years. I suppose since the crash, really, there's variations in the type of independence, and independents are flexible in terms of that they can group together to form as they have a working relationship or stuff like that there as well. So at what point do they stop being independent and become a political party? I don't know. And then the nature of independent, they can be independent with more fluidity and choice to actually support issues as not follow the real party discipline.
And of course, you can see the DNA in a lot of independents as well.
Yeah. I suppose that's true as well. Independents come from all sides of the house and stand as independents and get elected and stuff like that. There, and people who vote for independents voted for other parties previously and stuff like that there as well too. So that is the nature of it, and the Irish system allows for independence to take place in it all, where a lot of political systems don't allow that to happen. And in quite a number of countries in Europe, you can't get elected unless you're a member of a political party, and that as well too. So that's the nature of the system.
So it's not perfect, but it's better than.
I think it's better than an awful lot of systems that we have, and especially our electoral system. The PRSTV is the most democratic, I would say, of any electoral system that is going, and this is the outcome from it. And I think it will. I think that any deals that are made should be published, and I think as Paddy says, it'll be in the interest of the particular politician to make sure that it's published, to make sure that it's known that he's been involved in it. But then as well, there is politicians that have been very good at actually claiming everything. And and everything that happens in the county becomes down to them as well too, and that myth goes out there.
We saw a number of embargoes broken in the run up to. In the run up to the general election.
Yeah, do you mind if I make a point there, just while Thomas was talking there, and you talked about the price of Previa, supporting votes of confidence and so on and so forth. If my memory serves me right, former TD in Sligo, Mark McSharry, was on your programme, Greg, and he gave a commitment. There was a vote of no confidence, I can't remember, against whichever government minister it was, but he gave an undertaking anyway that he was going to do it. And he said about what he got for it. And if you remember that he got an undertaking, whatever that meant, from the Minister of Health, that they were going to increase the bed capacity in Sligo University Hospital, and also they were going to develop the cardiology services. Hey presto, I read in the paper yesterday that Marion Harkin, one of the red lines that she has, is increasing the bed capacity in Sligo and doing something with the cardiology services. I heard that one before.
Yeah, indeed. I think the 26 beds actually were opened this week in that hospital as well. Emer, last comment from you before the break, if you've anything to add.
I don't really. I think the men have it well covered there.
All right, okay. Stay with me because I'm going to be starting with you next. It is the 9 till noon show. We have Thomas Pringle, Paddy Rooney, Emer McGuinness, and we're going to be talking the weather next.
The 9 till noon show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can care for your car with Toyota Relax, giving you a year's warranty with your service. Terms and conditions apply.
Calling all golfers. Kick off the new year in style at McGurk's Golf, 40 Retail Park, Letterkenny. Score incredible savings on clothing, golf clubs and accessories from top brands like TaylorMade, Under Armour, Adidas and Callaway. Swing by today and check out our latest New Year deals that will have you looking and playing your best. McGurk's Golf, best brands, best prices.
Sometimes the best things come in small packages, like the Fiat 500 you could win if you take out a car insurance policy with An Post Insurance. Get great cover at a great price and a chance to win a fantastic electric Fiat 500. Get a quote now at onpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply and are available at onpostinsurance.ie/promotions. Competition ends January 31st, 2025. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as An Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post.
New this week in Home Store and More. All floor lamps are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price floor lamps are gone, they're gone. Also, all home gym equipment and all artificial plants and flowers are still all half price. But when all the half price home gym equipment and all the half price artificial plants and flowers are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
It's Ireland's greatest live show. The Three Amigos, Jimmy Buckley, Robert Mizell and Patrick Feeney are back on tour. Get ready for a truly amazing experience full of laughter, music and song. See The Three Amigos live Tuesday, January 21st, Clonry Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets priced $39.50, now available at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie, where booking fees may apply. The Three Amigos live. It's not to be missed.
Caller says, Greg, yes, we had influence in government in the past. The Blaneys had it for years. Indeed, that's a point made by John McAteer yesterday. It's not the way the country should be run to look after our own area or your own area and strike a deal with the powers to be. Why would you go and vote again if your government is not united in the country? Do we have suffered enough for years with the likes of the Healy Rays backing government to get self-gains. Look after the whole country. Don't come out looking like a gangster. But that's all well and good. And people would say, oh, you don't want parish pump politics. But then look at how people vote. It seems to be that's the way the public often vote. Why are you ridiculing Elon Musk about his politics when we in Ireland have no democracy? We have ruling parties for over 100 years. Fianna Fáil won't speak to the second biggest party, Sinn Féin. But they don't have to. That's the way the system works. And the public voted these parties in for the last 100 years. They weren't sort of installed. That's you, the electorate's idea. And we're not ridiculing Elon Musk. We're discussing Elon Musk. I'm sure he's a big boy. He can take a bit of heat. So we had a week of weather warnings and it became a bit of a political football, like everything nowadays. And almost you could see the difference between left and right as to whether you thought warnings are a good or a bad thing. It's hard to make sense of what the public mood is, though. Some saying the warnings are catastrophising the weather, while others upset Donegal was the forgotten county again and didn't get an orange weather warning. I can't make any sense of it all. Emer McGuinness, manager of the Donegal Mark, did Mataran get it right this week, do you think?
I think they did. Okay, they left Donegal out, but I wasn't going to get upset over that. Look, to say that we shouldn't get weather warnings or to complain about getting them, I think they're a must. Of course, they're important. It protects people. At the end of the day, it prepares you, and it's advice at the end of the day. You can do what you want after that. As regards for, the farmers, and that's the industry I'm in,
we're very grateful to know what weather's coming, whether you have to tie things down, whether it's wind and rain, or if the pipes are going to freeze and you have no water for your cattle. So, yeah, you do need them, and they are important, whether to the point where it disrupts schools. And I think that's what people to be complaining about, maybe sometimes when they're told there's going to be wind and the schools are closed, and then they don't end up being as bad as we think. But I'm very glad to have them, and I do think they do a great job. It probably would be almost impossible to have it exactly right all of the time. But no, I couldn't complain about it. I think it is Met Éireann do quite a good job.
I mean, I travelled to work this morning and the temperature went from 2 to -5 to +1 to -6 all in one route. I mean, and that's over half an hour. So how could you ever really properly account for all of that?
That's correct, yeah.
Paddy Rooney, what do you think? I think the noisiest voices, if you dig into it, are those with support in business or in business, because I think they see the impact on the cash register as soon as any colour of a warning is issued, and I have great sympathy for them. But what is your view? Are Met Éireann getting it right, or have we had the boy that cries wolf so often now in the summer with a bit of windy rain that people are distrusting?
You don't need to get the temperature gauge checked in your car or anything for accuracy, by the way, do you? No?
I don't know.
that seems like a very loud swing to me in a short space of time. But anyway.
It's up and down. It's about altitude, Paddy.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the by and by. One of the things that I like about the weather warnings that Met Éireann give is the shock effect to get people's attention. It's very, very difficult to get people's attention now. And because, how many days in the year do we have these? 20 at the max we've had a few there before Christmas where we had a lot of events in town that were cancelled and turned out to be very stormy over a 2-day period or whatever. It's not as if it takes place about 4 or 5 months of the year. We have about 20 days, I would say, max, when you aggregate them all together. And it is a public safety issue, because if I was able to lift my camera now and show you my garden, it's completely white here and all the area that we live, because Mary and I live in a byroad. So there's no gritting or anything like that. So all the ice is impacted on the road. And the only people that should be out on the road is people who need to be out on the road. So I think from my sister lives in Clonmel and Tipperary, and they're getting it a lot worse than we are now, right? And their snow is a lot heavier and their frost is a lot more severe than we had. And their roads are a lot quieter for that. Of course, people don't need to get a warning from Met Éireann. All they have to do is look out the window and see how stormy it is. But from a public safety point of view, and I think a business continuity point of view, and also, of course, I'm not here to speak on behalf of insurance companies and stuff like that, but if there are a lot of claims because people that are out and about doing what they're doing and they're disregarding the weather, then the claims go up and then the premiums go up. And of course, we don't want that. So for the level of inconvenience and how brief it is throughout the year,
we do see kind of a lot of yellow weather warnings. I mean, what is a yellow low temperature warning when the temperature is like +1 to -2 or 3? I mean, we survived for generations without that level of guidance and being scared into things.
We did, but as I said, that's the way to get people. Sometimes you have to do that to get people's attention, and you can't really compare how we live in Ireland in 2025 as we did in 1925.
What, you mean to tell me I can't walk to school in 2 foot of snow in my bare feet? Is that what you're saying? In 2025?
No, not going that far.
Because that's what an awful lot of people on social media have done.
I can use that argument if you want me to.
No.
I'm saying there are a lot more people on the road driving faster cars than there were in 1925. And, there was a lot more, there's a lot more of us now, and we're going around faster, doing more things. And there's for about 20 days of the year, we need to calm down, just let the things settle, and it'll be all right by Sunday.
All right, and it'll all be done and dusted like the top of Ergal by Monday. What do you think, Thomas Pringle?
Yeah, I think that the warning system is necessary, and it seems to me, I was just thinking about this over the last couple of days. The storms are worse now than they were when we were even when I was a kid and that there too. Maybe that the dissemination of information is a lot faster now as well too. But it seems to me that the amount of houses that were without electricity after the last weekend and stuff like that there was a lot more severe than anything I remember years ago. You would have had local stuff and that there. So I think that's important. The one thing that gets me about the warnings is you could have a yellow wind warning and an orange frost warning and stuff like that there, and there's a confusion and the amount of warnings and stuff like that there, but I think it is very necessary and overall, and and it's also I think things they're also giving warnings over counties, and what happens when you're at the county border? Is it grand and the green
it's
side?
a blunt enough instrument,
and that's but that's kind of flippant and that as well too. But overall, I think we need them, and I think people need to be aware of what.
I'd love to see the county councils. I know they're. I think the Met Éireann is a line of the Department of Housing, isn't it? And that department, so it is funded. I think we might get more nuanced sort of travel information from the likes of a county council that has access to the road. They all do, but would have more interest in road temperatures, elevation, proximity to the sea and what have you. It'd be really interesting to see what kind of a more nuanced forecast the council, for instance, could give, or an arm of the council. But Emer, it's quite interesting because I made the point about businesses being disadvantaged, and yet farming is one of the biggest industries in the country, and I'm sure many in the farming community are hanging on sort of the words of Met Éireann just to determine what to do with their livestock, whether the feeding troughs or the water troughs will be full of water and all that type of stuff. So we have to think of what we probably don't do enough nowadays is how different things affect different people.
Oh, well, that's it. It's just different elements for different people. And that's what I say. It's very important that they get these weather warnings so they can prepare. But if you look at any social media at the minute, the farmers are the ones that are out helping people all this week, especially further down the country where things are very bad. With tractors, with clearing roads, with getting just their jeeps, their vehicles are bigger, getting things for older people in their communities. So, we're here this morning and I have to make a call. We're supposed to have a mart this evening. So I'll have to check the yard now at 11 o'clock. And, I don't know if it's going to thaw today, but that'll all have to be done in the next hour or two. So,
beholden to the weather,
Yeah, and at the same time, men need to sell their stock. So, it's a difficult one.
Greg, I see the media. Sorry, go ahead, Paddy.
Greg, before you move on.
No, go ahead.
In relation to power, and there's many thousands of homes across the country that have no power and had no power for a prolonged period of time. And apparently there's two reasons why they have no power, because the lines are damaged either by very, very strong wind, there's very little you can do anything about it. And the other one is about falling trees that are knocking lines down. So if we have storm by 20 days of the year, for the other 345 days of the year, whatever it is, should it not be a good idea for the ESB to make sure that all power lines, either along the road or wherever they're going, that there is no trees near them if they fall down, isn't out of storm period, that they should be making sure that there's no trees around.
Oh, it's the biggest threat to the infrastructure,
lines are continuously knocked down by trees.
But I presume there is already an onus on landowners to ensure that their trees aren't encroaching on power lines the same way as they shouldn't be hanging out onto the roads. But there was a big standoff about hedge cutting in this county over winter, so I don't know how we're going to sort that out. Emer, if you a comment on that?
I was just saying there's so many elements now in the farming and for your schemes and everything you're involved in that you're not allowed to touch trees or hedgerows or anything like that. So, everything has become very complicated.
Yeah, it's getting worse, isn't it?
DSB do go around cutting branches and trees away from power lines and that there already, Greg. I've seen them do it regularly. Now, whether they do it often enough, I don't know, or whether, and how far do you have to go from a power line and stuff like that there? Basically, you get rid of all the trees probably if that was the case, because the power lines are everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that should be underground, arguably. But anyway, I don't know why you're not. We're still putting them above ground. That's a different argument altogether. Okay, back with more from our panel after these.
The 9 till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Home to a wide range of Toyota commercial vehicles. Your perfect business partner.
Niamh Padraig Iskaheen are on the All-Ireland Trail this weekend. The Donegal and Ulster champions play Kilmurray of Cork in the All-Ireland semi-finals this Sunday. Join Oisín Kelly and Brendan Devaney for full match commentary from the 2 o'clock throw-in at Parnell Park in Dublin. Coverage of Niamh Padraig Iskaheen in the All-Ireland Club Championship is with Doherty Centra Muff, proudly supporting our local teams.
Radical new proposals for herds with TB. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, find out how herds with TB could face new 3-year sale restrictions. Farmers rally to clear roads and help neighbours during big freeze. We look back at some of the scandals that rocked farming. Special slurry equipment focus with everything you need to know for the spring. Legal advice and adding a family member to your herd number. Plus, we have 20 ways for you to save money in your tax bill. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
That's the sound of someone sleeping soundly on a Restex mattress. Choose from the Donegal range. A Teelan, a Kinnigo, or a Mulroy mattress. It'll change the way you sleep forever. Restex beds, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Leave the rest to us.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. It's time to save big with the McElhinney's winter sale. Enjoy up to 50% off fashion, homeware, accessories and more in store and online at mcelhinneys.com today.
Okay, so a cold day, staying dry with hazy sunshine, though cloud will thicken later. Highest temperatures of 1 to 3 degrees in light to moderate easterly winds. Greg, I see the media are not happy with independents gaining from government formation when they are minority. They had no problem with the Green Party in government for 5 years at only 3 in the polls, making rules and regulations for us, the voters. Of course, the Green TDs were voted out this time. I think we should not confuse having a conversation about something with not being happy about something, because it's going to leave us literally no space to talk at all. A caller says the winners will be the Healy Rays in this formation. They'll probably get a roof over Kerry. Hi, Greg. I don't think they'll want that. Hi, Greg. Don't forget that, unless they own it, actually, and I won't actually say what I was about to say. Hi, Greg. Don't forget that all this horse trading is being done with your in mind, the taxpayers' money, because the Fianna Fáil Fine Gael clique will not release the reins of power as they think it's their God-given right, and no doubt the lives of our fellow citizens in these constituencies will be enhanced with capital and infrastructure projects, bringing prosperity to them. On that point, because I do understand where people come from, Thomas, when they do text this kind of stuff, but I will reiterate, the only reason Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have been in power for 100 years and will go back into power now is because people in very significant numbers came out it and voted for them. And 3 years ago, there was this presumption that Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael were going to be wiped out at the next general election, and I was saying, look at the maths, it's very likely they'll return to power, because that's what that's what the largest proportion of those that bothered to vote actually voted for. So there's no point, I mean, of course there's a point blaming Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and everybody else when it is a democracy. It's 100 years of what the people have voted for.
Yeah, and that's the reality of the situation, and it's a sad part of the situation, for the likes of me that lost out in that election. But that's, the people have had their say, and that's what they voted for, what they wanted, and that's the reality of the situation. That's the way it goes. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'll come to Emer on that. I mean, I suppose, Emer, this is, we live in a democracy. You have to accept that democracy.
Look, you do, and as you said, is correct. Like, people did go out and they voted the way they did. You can't blame the parties. They have to just work with it now. The people that, the politicians that have been elected have to go ahead, and so the 2 largest parties, and that's it. Everyone will have, I think it's a wild shame that we don't still have Thomas, representing us here in the area, and it's very sad for Killybegs. But unfortunately, I suppose maybe, I'm not going into the ins and outs of it, but we had a few independents and different things happened this election, which was unfortunate for us.
Well, Sinn Féin didn't help Thomas either, putting a popular candidate up there.
But, when he's a massive miss now to our community here. So, but that's politics and that's how people voted and that's what they done. So we can't blame the two parties that are there now and have to work with it. And
in relation to that, Paddy, I think a lot of people, as hard as this might be for other people to hear, a lot of people all of a sudden necessarily didn't want the change that everyone would presume that everybody wanted. They said, right, things might not be perfect, but better the devil you know, and I'm using that phrase only as it is a phrase, and that's the way they voted, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. I mean, 4 out of every 10 people didn't even engage with the process in the first place. I mean, there was only, 58.5% of the people bothered to come out to vote. I mean, you could have, the number of people that stayed at home would have elected 2 governments. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's very difficult for political parties to break through. I mean, we've had about 7 or 8 parties that have tried to do so since the formation of the state, and they all came and they've all went. If you look at the same in Britain, you have the 2.5 party system. In England, you've had UKIP and Reform and all those trying to break through, but they're finding it very, very difficult. And the same goes for Europe. I mean, I can't remember, maybe Thomas or Emer would help me out here, but I can't remember the last time that a new political party made the breakthrough, with the exception of probably in Greece after the crash or whatever.
Well, I think
parties have a huge advantage.
I think Reform are on the brink of that breakthrough in Britain.
Yeah, in Italy, you had Maloney in Italy, and
the AfD in Germany are going to.
But we'll see. It's difficult to do. It's very, very difficult for a new political party.
For sure, but I would say we could argue though that the 2.5 in Ireland, the half is independence. A lot of people like to vote independent.
They do, but I suppose Thomas will be able to vouch for this. You see, there are 2 types of voters out there. There are people that are stick with their party line, which means that parties have very solid core votes, and then there are floating votes. And new parties then don't have a core vote. They've got to take a generation or 2 before they can build that up. And, it depends, then their fortunes waxes and wanes along the way, and sometimes they can sustain it and sometimes they can't.
Paddy, I wish we had another hour. Genuinely, we have to leave it there. Thanks so much for your time. Always a pleasure. Take care of yourself. Thomas Pringle, lovely to chat to you. Best of luck going forward. We'll chat again. Emer McGuinness, we will get you a router down there. We're going to sort something out. But
I don't know what's wrong.
It's okay. It's just technology and it's fine. But it's been great to have you on, and hopefully we'll have you in visuals and audio next time. But thanks so much for joining us today and overcoming as best we could those technical issues.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, take care of yourself. We'll be back with more in the 9 till noon show. In fact, your questions for Seamus Gunn after we take a break.
The 9 till noon show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can test drive our impressive range of hybrid vehicles combining standout styling and engaging drive and class-leading efficiency.
At the heart of every successful business are highly skilled and talented people. That's why at Skillnet Ireland, we know that every skill counts. Whatever sector your business operates in and whatever skills you or your business needs, contact one of our 70 SkillNet business networks for training and development that's industry-led and can improve your business success. Visit skillnetireland.ie for upskilling and reskilling supports to develop your team. Skillnet Ireland is a business support agency of the Government of Ireland.
Crawford Tiles Castlefin. Massive January sale is now on. 20% off all tiles in stock, 15% off all bathware, 10% off all wooden flooring. This is the sale of all sales. You've tried the rest, now get the best. Don't miss out. When it's gone, it's gone. Crawford Tiles. Call 07491 43942.
Are you thinking of a new car in January? At iMotors, we have certain Nissan models available for immediate delivery. E-Power, petrol, hybrid are all still available. Check out imotors.ie.
iMotors, fearless generation.
If you're looking for a competitive insurance quote, contact Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers in Letterkenny. Home, car or van insurance, farm, commercial or public liability insurance. They compare quotes from all the leading insurers so you get a great price. Call Hickey Clark and Langan on 91 26688 or call into the office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Discover Centra Simple Savers, your go-to for great everyday value. Like Centra Fresh Irish Diced Beef 410 gram, only €3. Fitzgerald's Kids 6 wraps, €1 each. And Brady Family Irish Ham 80 gram selected range, €2 each. Enjoy easy, simple prices weekly on your favourite products. Centra. Live every day.
GiveBlood.ie know we can count on you, our community of blood donors, to be there for others in their hour of need. Blood donors from Letterkenny should attend the clinic in the Radisson Blu Hotel in Letterkenny from Monday 13th to Thursday 16th of January. Making an appointment is recommended. Regular donors can now visit our website or call 1800 731 137 to book a time. New donors are vital. Visit giveblood.ie to check eligibility and clinic details, because we count on you.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The Arctic blast that's been sweeping the country this week has started to move away. However, it could be a number of days before we see a significant rise in temperatures. Met Éireann recorded temperatures of -6 degrees in parts of the country overnight. Jessie Woodlock is in County Monaghan.
The entire country is now under a status yellow low temperature and ice warning. In Monaghan and parts of the Midlands, a heavy fog is expected to continue throughout the day. For counties in the south, a thaw is coming, but Met Éireann are warning that it will be slow. Temperatures in parts of the country could still hit below freezing tonight, and it will be Sunday before the cold snap does finally come to an end.
Gardaí have confirmed they're investigating a complaint of an alleged fraud at a business in East Donegal. A complaint was made on December 19th. It's believed to have involved a number of people at the major manufacturer in the Twin Towns area. Gardaí say their investigations are ongoing. The exact nature of the alleged fraud is unknown at this time. A former Donegal TD has said any deals with independents ahead of the formation of government should be published in the interests of the public and also of the politicians themselves. Thomas Pringle, who represented Donegal as an independent but never himself entered into a government formation deal, says it can be very difficult to tell when a grouping of independents loses the right to retain that title and effectively becomes a political party. However, speaking on the 9 till noon show today, he said imperfect though it is, the political system here is better than many others in Europe and beyond.
I think it's better than an awful lot of systems, and especially our electoral system. The PRSTV is the most democratic, I would say, of any electoral system that is going, and this is the outcome from it. Any deals that are made should be published, and I think it'll be in the interest of the particular politician to make sure that it's published, to make sure that it's known. Then as well, there is politicians that have been very good at actually claiming everything that happens in the county becomes down to them as well.
A 39-year-old man has been charged with a number of drug-related offences as part of an investigation by detectives from the PSNI's Organised Crime Branch. He was first arrested in Derry in October last and again yesterday, having previously been released on bail. With more, here's Tara Duggan.
The man was first arrested in October 2024 and subsequently bailed. On the same day, searches were carried out in Derry, during which around £20,000 in cash was seized, as well as a vehicle. Following further inquiries, he was arrested yesterday on suspicion of further offences and was charged. Police, working with Gardaí, yesterday carried out a further search as part of the investigation. The man is due before Derry Magistrates Court today. He's charged with a number of drug-related offences, including possession of drugs, conspiracy to fraudulently import drugs, and possession of and converting criminal property. He's also charged with traffic offences, including driving while disqualified and driving with no insurance. An OCB detective says targeting drug supply is a priority for the police service.
2024 was the first year to have temperatures of 1.5 degrees above the pre-industrial era, according to the European Union. Its climate monitoring service also says last year was the warmest on record. With more, here's Ben Finnegan.
The available data goes back more than 170 years and shows 2024 broke many records. 2024 was the first year to break the Paris Accord, which was signed by the majority of countries in 2016 to limit global temperature rises to 1.5 degrees above the pre-industrial era. Scientists say going above that limit will mean there are more adverse and severe weather conditions around the world. However, the head of the EU's Copernicus service believes there is still time for countries to take decisive action to limit global emissions and reverse the effects of climate change. Data for 2024 shows the level of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere are at levels never recorded before.
Weather forecast: cold today, staying dry though with hazy sunshine. Cloud will thicken later. Top temperatures around the region of 1 to 3 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. In the interim, check all of today's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notice says for this Friday morning, January the 10th. The death has taken place of Eugene Sheehan, late of Daisyfield Apartments and formerly of 16 Rathone Park. Eugene's remains are reposing at his brother Eamon's residence, 3 Shanray Park. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow morning at 10:20 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Craigan. Burial will take place immediately afterwards in Cockhill Cemetery, Buncrana. Wake House will be private from 10 o'clock until 11 o'clock. Eugene's Requiem Mass can be streamed live on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Miss Nora Shields, Shannon, County Clare, formerly of Carabla, Port Salin. Nora's remains will arrive at St Columba's Church, Massmount, for prayers at 5 o'clock this evening. Funeral tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on Scott's Funeral Director's Facebook page. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of Eamon Scott, Funeral Directors or any family member. The death has taken place of Ruby Hamilton, née Johnston, Plock Manor, Cunningham. Her remains will repose at her home today from 12 noon until 9 o'clock. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 for 2 o'clock service of Thanksgiving in Rye Presbyterian Church, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Medical Rehab Centre, Letterkenny, care of any family member or Terence McClintock, Funeral Director. House private on the morning of the funeral please. The death has occurred of Colm Doherty, The Cross, Clonmany. Wake is private please to family and neighbours. Funeral from his home at 20:11 tomorrow morning for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Clonmany, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time from 10 o'clock until 11 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Anthony Kelly, Cleary House, Letterkenny, and formerly of Glenties. Remains reposing at 3 The Rock, Glenties. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:45, going to St Connell's Church, Glenties, for funeral mass at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in the local cemetery. The death has occurred of Sean McGlynn, Kilrean, Clohan and formerly of London, England. Sean's remains are reposing at his late home in Kilrean, Clohan. Removal tomorrow for Requiem Mass in the Church of Our Lady of Perpetual Succour, Glenfin, at 11 o'clock, followed by interment afterwards in the family plot in Kilty Vogue Cemetery. The death has taken place of Josephine Barr, Portnamurray, Ballyboe, Rathmullen and formerly 21 Main Street, Buncrana. Reposing at her home in Ballyboe, Rathmullen, today from 12 noon. Rosary at 9 o'clock. Those attending the wake between 4 and 9 o'clock are advised to park at the Waters Edge car park and a bus will be provided from there. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Joseph's Church, Rathmullen. Burial afterwards in Cockhill Cemetery, Buncrana. Mass can be viewed on MCN Media. Family time after the Rosary and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only. Donations if desired to Down Syndrome Ireland, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Annie Devlin, Sarita, Ballymcgam, Buncrana. Annie's remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from her home at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Cockhill, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time from 11 o'clock until 11 o'clock. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Eamon Boyle, Mina Largan, Glenties. Removal from Chauvelin's funeral home at Sandfield Ardra this morning at 10:15, going to St Connell's Church, Glenties, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. And the death has taken place in Glasgow of James Cullen, Glasgow, and Devlin Ray Carrigard. His remains are reposing at his sister Mary Ellen's residence. Funeral from there this morning, going to the Church of St John the Baptist for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family time before the funeral this morning. Mass can be viewed live on the Meva Parish Facebook page. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio.
How are things? How's the family? How are you? How can I help?
When it comes to supporting people living with dementia, it starts with asking how. Because how is a small word, but this social connection makes a big difference. So if you know someone affected by dementia, check in with them and learn more about how you can help build dementia-inclusive communities at understandtogether.ie from the HSC.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Thank you so much for all of your comments, including this one, which I'm not really quite sure of where it's coming from, but I respect it nonetheless. And I read all comments, unless, of course, it's offending individuals or something. But anyway, Greg, I have to stop listening to your programme now. It's like I'm in another country, but I'm in Donegal. I'm a mile from the main road. I'm snowed in, and it looks like no thaw for a few days yet. There'll be no gritter here. I cannot drive out. I will have to walk. There's no bin service here. I couldn't get a delivery of coal or oil if I run out. I know there are others in my position. I live alone. I'm okay. But talk of politicians, if the basic needs of citizens are not addressed, and I know you say this all the time. Right, I'm not sure if you're not listening to the show because you have to head out somewhere or something, but that's what we do in this program. We highlight situations exactly like yours. The people maybe who feel they're being a little bit left behind. We always try and give them a voice. And we've been discussing why Donegal wasn't included in an orange alert. We've been talking about why certain routes aren't gritted. I hope you contacted Donegal County Council, because we had a piece on the program yesterday that if your circumstances are such that maybe their teams or crews could help to get you stuff to you or out of your premises. We've carried bits from local businesses who are prepared to make deliveries for people exactly in your position. So people like you have been, front and centre of the conversation and our coverage of the weather over the last wee while. Hopefully you won't have to wait a few days for the thaw. I'm sorry that you have to stop listening unless it's that you have an appointment or someone calling around, but I wanted to address your point, and I'm sorry you feel like that. A caller says it's the ESB lines and you can't get near them, it's too dangerous. Greg, the reason that there was a lot of power outages is because people were forced to install air-to-water systems, and by not allowing fireplaces in new buildings, this has put a strain on the electricity supply, and not a lot to do with fallen lines, etc. Well, we can monitor. There was a lot of pressure on the electricity supply because of no energy being created by wind, which makes up often around a third of our energy resources, and B, obviously people being at home, heating on and all that kind of stuff. There was no actual outage of Letterkenny. There was no actual outage of electric that was not connected to power lines and what have you. Hi, Greg. The ESB is teams cutting trees all the time, but it's landowners or forestry companies who don't allow them to cut the trees, which is the big problem. Which I think we kind of got to that. I think we got to that in our chat. Hi, Greg. Don't forget that all this horse trading is being done with your and my taxpayers' money, because the Fianna Fáil... I read that one already. Also, do any of your listeners think that the complete lack of infrastructure in Donegal was or is a deliberate policy, as the vast majority of Donegal roads haven't been improved since the late 60s, early 70s, making it a form of silent apartheid? I mean, obviously, there's the road between Bundoran to Donegal Town has been greatly improved over that period of time, from Donegal Town to Ballybofey. That's a new stretch of road in that period you talk of. Obviously Glenties, Dunlow, it's easier to get to Donegal Town now. I take your point in how you feel, but you can demonstrate that since the 60s and 70s there's been an improvement in the infrastructure. Maybe not as far as it hasn't gone as far as many would like. Elon Musk entitled social media, lies will dominate, and if a lie is told often enough, it seems to become accepted as truth. Wealth is king with these billionaires. If we're not careful, dictators will take over countries. And some of the language of Donald Trump has been, akin to that of a dictator, some would say. I'm not saying that, but some would say it. But it's what you believe to be the truth, I think, is one of the issues here. You see, there are groups of individuals that what you believe to be a lie, they genuinely and believe is the truth, and vice versa. So the truth, what is the truth? That's going to be the big challenge to figure out, I think. Hi, Greg. The government has a short memory in regards to election interference. Remember the Lisbon Treaty? I, like many, voted no. Then the government didn't like the result and made us vote again. Democracy at its finest. Thanks, Tony. And a lot of people still have that in the back of their mind. And there was a bit of commentary from opposition parties in terms of going back to the people with a vote. And that did them a great deal of damage. So those memories are still very fresh in people's heads. There can be information on weather put out, which is good to have, but all we have to do is look out the window each morning. This is ridiculous. The constant multi-weather event talk about hamming it up, keeping people in fear is all it does. But our experience here at Highland Radio is very, very different in that if it was just simply looking out the window, our phones wouldn't be ringing on off the hook all morning, which is fantastic. It's a service we provide. People in Dunlow will say, what's the road like into Letterkenny? People in Letterkenny will say, what's the road like to Donegal Town? Looking out your window won't answer those questions. So, there was a multi-weather event. I'm not a big fan of Mataran, but we had snow, we had ice, we had rain, we had wind. But it became politicised for some reason. I don't know why, but I respect your view. There was no real warning, says a listener, regarding the additional snowfalls on Wednesday night going into Thursday. We were yellow and the rest of the country was orange. A bit strange, indeed. That seems true. Can you ask Thomas about the government increasing the 5 days off before you can claim your sick money to 10 days? Another hit on the working Irish people. I don't think that one's going to come in. I have a feeling that could end up going by the way. We shall see, but it went from 3 to 5 and I don't think 5 to 10 is going to happen. More of your comments here. The Inishowen Ceilidh due to take place in the GEA clubhouse in Jura is cancelled tonight. The Ceilidh will now take place on Friday the 17th. A caller says, I have a fella sick for 3 days in bed with flu. It's so bad that he can't get out of bed. I don't know what to do with him. People are unable to cope with being sick as they've never been sick before. He's depressed and as he can't go to work or do anything. I can't take him to the hospital as it's flu. What can I do? The aches and pains are terrible. Nurofen, sweat it out, hot drinks, TLC. A lot of us, Christmas, New Year was written off for these exact same reasons. There's nasty flu going around. Flu is very serious. A lot of people go, I'm feeling a bit fluey when they've got a head cold. When you've got flu, there's no doubt about it, and your gentleman there does. So it's painkillers regularly for a day until such time as you're not supposed to take them. I don't know the ins and outs of that. Hot drinks, TLC, back rub. I'm not... I hope you don't think I'm diminishing what he's going through. I'm just saying that those are the best that we can do in the home setting. All right, we'll be back with Seamus Gunn answering your legal questions after these.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 10th of January. You're playing on the yellow sheet for the daily prize of €400. The reference number is S10. It's game number 2. The numbers are 69, 36, 25, 50, 63, 89, 80, 33, 24, and finally 5. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com. Shop Homeland's January mega deals at your local Homeland or online at homeland.ie. Save 20% of all Royal Canine dry dog food bags. Arigna Fuels Harvest Flame, buy 3 30L bags, get 1 free. And save 20% of all Regatta clothing. All this and more until January 26th. See homeland.ie.
Some of us don't have street smarts.
And so, that's how you can get into my house without setting off the alarm.
And some of us don't have smart smarts.
It says push, don't pull.
At Energia, we think we can all be a little more energy smart. So if you have a smart meter at home, it's time to switch to one of our smart plans. Not only could you save 33% with an Energia Smart plan, but you'll also get energy insights to help you manage your usage and make smarter energy choices. Use your smarts and make the switch today. See energia.ie or call us on 0818 300 701. Energia Smart Data Plan. EAB €1,160. Standing charge PSO levy apply. Savings based on standard electricity unit rates. Full details including associated terms and conditions at energia.ie.
The Aer Lingus January sale is now on. Get up to 25% off flights to Europe and Britain. Whether you want to soak up the sun or take in the sights on a city break, the choice is yours with 3 million seats on sale. Don't miss out. Sale ends 20th of January. Book now on airlingus.com. T's and C's apply.
It's time to upgrade your home, refresh your gadgets and grab unbeatable deals at Irwin Expert Electrical. Our January sale is packed with incredible offers on big brands such as Whirlpool, Bosch, Samsung and LG and Shark and Ninja. Hurry in store to make the most of these limited time deals. And if you're building, buying or renovating, now is a great time to avail of our layaway service. Ask in store for details. Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
The 9 till noon show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, with a range of offers now available for 251 on our impressive lineup of hybrid and plug-in hybrid vehicles.
Thank you for all your questions for Seamus Gunn, who is with us now. Seamus Gunn of McLaughlin Gunn and Co. Remelton and Letterkenny. Good morning to you, Seamus. Thank you for your time.
Morning, Greg. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well, Seamus. Great to have you back for another year. And, you know, so much. I know you take a real big interest in all things, not least politics. And we'll get to the questions in a moment, but it gives people an opportunity to get their questions in. Also, though, we have hundreds. Watching on with interest, I'm sure, as to what's happening in the United States. And, of course, the reach into Irish and European affairs as well.
Yeah, hard not to, Greg, really. We're sort of heading into what I would call more uncharted waters. And the way the world and the speed at which matters are developing and issues arising and the saber rattling that's now starting to come to ring from the United States with Donald Trump now about to take office. It's fascinating to see the way it's been played out, particularly the interaction now with the influences of the major social medias and to how that's going to be maybe used and coming in and stretching the arm into Europe. You'll have some misgivings about that and the way that could be used or maybe even abused. But firstly, though, with Trump, to see what he's throwing out, like about his own ambitions and how the reaction is coming to them in Europe. They're trying to sort of maybe take a softly approach and let's see where this guy's going. But like when he starts eyeing up, he's eyeing up Greenland, he's eyeing up the Panama Canal, he's mentioned about retaking control of it, a new Gulf of America as well. Just throw that in.
The funny thing is Seamus, like I've become used to to Donald Trump at this point, in that it's clear when he talks of Greenland, he's trying to send a strong message to the Chinese and the Russians. And when he talks about the Panama Canal, that's also a very strong message to the Chinese because he believes they've undue influence in relation to that. The Canadian situation, I struggle a little bit to figure that one out. But I think he's more than saber rattling. He's sort of setting the tone for negotiations for when he's actually in power.
Well, I mean, yes, but why I define it as saber rattling is what negotiations has he to do, or what business is his, and does he have in the likes of Greenland, for example? I mean, we've talked about Canada. It was even mooted to become the 51st state. Obviously, that's a competition thing with tariffs, etc. But for negotiations, there's no trade negotiations going to be needed with Greenland. Greenland has a lot of minerals, and it's rich in that respect. And there's not very many people living there. And it's nearly 2 million, I think, plus square kilometers in size, the biggest island in the world. It's autonomous. It's under Denmark. So now we come into Europe and say, well, look at that's another country, and he's stretching out a little bit further. Now the question is this: is he sounding a little bit like Putin? And Putin has kind of said to him, look, we're watching you in Greenland here. Now, when you say it's for negotiations, well, he can, within his 50 states, plus Colombia, he has enough there, or he should.
But he believes the Russians.
He's distracting. He's distracting, I think, from the internal big issues in America that are there to be tackled, and looking out otherwise, and taking the attention away from that before he takes up office. So the big issue is, and this just was incredible, the way the likes of the people that are now kowtowing to him. Well, we know Musk jumped on board just by the time of the elections, and now they're best mates, etc., etc. But Musk has 200 maybe million plus followers out there that were a beneficial at the time of the election, again for Trump, no doubt, to use that. But then you have Mark Zuckerberg, who he banned him after I could be wrong about this, but in 2021 after Capitol Hill,
2018 actually. I think was it not 2018? He originally banned him under pressure from, as Mark Zuckerberg described it, the legacy media.
Well, it was following Capitol Hill.
Right, okay, that would be, yeah.
But he certainly was censored after Capitol Hill, and he there was eliminated at that point from Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, it is reported, has trumped up, pardon the pun, $1 million into the coffers for the inauguration service, which will be coming up now in a matter of 10 days' time. And now he's actually he's watering down this thing about regulations, too heavily regulated, and he's starting to sound a little bit more like Elon Musk.
But are we over-regulated in Europe because
they're two of the biggest players in the world?
Because Mark Zuckerberg has said that. He said that he was influenced, that the media and governments controlled him, and he regrets that, and he believes the right to free expression, that he fell down a rabbit hole and took that away from the American people, and he believes then that this was due to the influence of particularly European governments that want to over-regulate, that want to censor, that want to control the narrative. That speaks to a lot of people out there, Seamus. A lot of people would say, you're right. If I said anything dissenting on X or Facebook, it was shadow banned. I was blocked. I was put in the social media jail cell for a while. This is surely the natural pushback to an overreach of regulation, particularly here in Europe.
Well, it's definitely a pushback. The point, though, that I am emphasizing with regard to Zuckerberg is how now he flips. Now,
yeah,
and I believe that is because Trump is now the main man, and he's the guy that he's going to have to run with, and he's the guy he's going to back. And that is just a commercial decision. That has nothing to do with the higher moral ground of what you have alluded to there at all. That's my opinion on that. But I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong. But you talk about the European and the high regulations. You've seen last evening or so, Musk done some interview with the alternative Germany or whatever, which is the second biggest right-wing party in Germany. And he's in there now, maybe trying to, potentially there's elections coming up now in February. And if there's an over sort of amplification of any of that broadcast or the content of it, that could be seen to be trying to influence the German election. And we're going down a very slippery slope.
Of course, and also too.
So that's what I'm trying to balance here.
But I get you.
I agree with you completely.
But I get you. But where did the balance need to come from? So of course he's backing the ADF in Germany. He's potentially going to financially back reform in Britain. A common theme of a lot of the parties that he supports and a lot of the stances he supports is to tackle immigration, to maintain the sovereignty and culture of countries. He's concerned that Christianity and other religions are being wiped out, a big concern that they have in Canada as well. That resonates with an awful lot of people. And for a very long time, Seamus, media and governments here in Ireland and around the world have been in each other's pockets and have, looked after each other. I'm not sure the antidote to that is social media giants doing it with, doing the same thing. But the bottom line is that for a long time, the people have had the wool pulled over their eyes because of the cosy relationship between the main political parties and often publicly funded media in the various countries. And they're saying, right, you know what, there's another message here. People are entitled to protect their borders. People are entitled to protect their religion, their culture, their way of living. And this is a pushback against all of that.
I think that's a gimme. I don't think anyone objectively would really argue against that. The point that I think, though, that has to be called out is that where these media platforms are hijacked, as it were, by right-wing rhetoric and speech that can lead to hatred and can lead to violence, and that's an entirely separate matter. But that is what's happening, and that is also out there and as plain as the nose in your face. There's no doubt about that. So that has to be curbed. And if you over and unfairly amplify a certain message or a certain content, and you have the power to do that, to get it out there to hundreds of millions of people, and it's not true, maybe this is a situation that is false or fake news, and it's put out there to influence people. That's what I'm getting to, and that's what you have to curb, and that's what you have to have control over.
Who is the arbiter of truth?
Fake news becomes the real news.
But who is
and
the arbiter?
Main platforms are no longer.
Who controls the truth, though? Because we mentioned it earlier on. For years, the likes of a Rupert Murdoch controlled what was the truth, what was real, who was in and out of power, what the people heard on the Sun newspaper, Sky News, and every other platform he ever had. So this is not new. It's just individuals with power controlling the narrative and controlling the truth. It's just being done in a different way. I'm not saying it's good. I'm off X because I find it to be an absolute cesspit where I don't know what's real and what's not real any longer. I simply don't, right? But this is not a new concept of an individual wielding incredible power over the public and what is true and what's not true.
Why do you not know, though, now what is true and what is not true? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Why do you not know that? And that is because you have this AI and fake news out there. During the week, there was an incident in Dublin with a guy with a firearm or so traveling from, I think, maybe Sligo or somewhere to Dublin Connolly Station, all over social media. Now, I didn't see it myself, but anyway, there was this narrative put out there that wasn't any way true about it at all. The guy had a firearm on, but he could have had it for a particular legal purpose, and nobody was threatened, and there was no actual incident. But there was a total different spin put on that on social media. So that's just a very simple, small, very recent example here in this country, the way that these things can be actually hijacked. And as you said, if it's come to the stage where you don't know the difference between what's true and what's not true, well, years ago, when you had the likes of Rupert Murdoch and you had the print media putting it out there, you were more objective, and you maybe sourced other different types of articles on the matter, and you came to an objective maybe conclusion yourself.
I'll give you an example of that, if that's okay.
You're being bombarded by social media on a particular point with hundreds of millions maybe agreeing, and you say, "Oh, that must be true."
The funny thing is about social media. A lot of people think when you reference the truth, what's the truth on social media? You think it's about a left-wing view or a right-wing view. But say, for instance, even the wildfires at the moment that are going on in California, what you have is lots of people that are taking videos from different places or from the past and repurposing them. And it doesn't matter if it's true or not, because it's about engagement, okay? Because they're getting paid. They're getting paid for their engagement. So you don't know is this a video that was recorded yesterday, or is this a video from 2018, or is this a video of São Paulo? You don't know that. And that's what I mean by the truth. It's not necessarily someone's opinion. It's just the platforms are awash with people engagement farming with fakeness. And I don't think anyone, whether you're a free speech absolutist or you're left wing or whatever you might be, that's the kind of crap that's on there that I can't see the wood for the trees, no pun intended. Not just political opinion and political views. It's just so much content that you don't know. Is that a plain dropping water in California. No, it's not. It's a plane that was doing it in Brazil, and they weren't using water, they were using some other red. Do you get where I'm coming from, Seamus? It's more complex.
No, I certainly do. And I think that really the right to free speech is fundamental in any democracy and has to be protected. It's people's opinions have a right. They have a right to engage on that, but it's when they are used and abused and put out there in such a way to influence others about a matter which is actually untrue, factually maybe untrue, and there's been lots of those.
Okay.
And then when you carry that to the next stage, and if you get that into the political forum, and you start using that huge following, as I said, maybe 200 million, and many would Meta have, so that type of figures, like you're way beyond Rupert Murdoch and your son
I don't think
at that point,
I
and
agree.
therefore you can influence an electorate, and then power can change with that on the basis maybe of something that's completely fake.
For sure,
and
I
think
also
you have
too,
to have that.
I think
you have to have some
everyone
censorship.
I think everyone should be concerned about that, because maybe you're not, because maybe it's on your side now. But that they can pivot, and all of a sudden they're pushing policies and agendas that you're not in agreement with, and then you'll say, wow, this power is crazy. So I think every free-thinking person, even if Musk and Zuckerberg's views align with yours now, they may not in 2 or 3 years, and they'll still have that same level of reach and influence, which I think it's something people should be somewhat concerned of, because
we should be reassured here, though, Greg, because we have Michael McGrath now as the EU Justice Commissioner.
That's right.
So and it'll be up to him, which will be interesting to see can he enforce this Digital Services Act that came in around 22 and but it got going last year. And whether they have the teeth even to do that it's questionable. The type of fine, 6% of global turnover. But I mean, the point about that arises with that, which is a bit peculiar, is by the time they find out something has been abused or whatever, over amplified or put out in a manner that was not in fact truthful at all, the election, if it was an election coming up, will be long gone.
Yes, but people also,
so
but
the benefit will have been obtained long ago.
Of course, but there's billions of euro at stake here, so it's very much in the interest of the likes of Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk to get in place political parties in Europe that are aligned to them, because they then have an influence on the European Council to roll back on a load of this stuff. So everyone's got skin on the game. Seamus, I must get to some questions. I paid money for a Christmas dinner dance. The band rescheduled due to the weather. The rescheduled date does not suit me. I was told that I wasn't entitled to my money back. Am I entitled to my money back? The hotel said that money was towards the deposit in the band, and I feel that I'm entitled to my money back as I didn't receive a product or a service.
It's a very good question, actually, because what's involved in it is really the essence of what would be any contract, and whether in this particular instance you have two sides. And I'm trying to be Solomon, and this is tricky because the provider of the service, let's say it's a hotel or whatever, they have made the venue available. They've accepted a deposit in good faith, and everything's going ahead. Now there's an issue with the band or whatever that's playing at it. Now, is that a fundamental enough breach of the contract if the band, that they couldn't put in another band that would justify rescinding the contract, saying, oh no, we're repudiating this, we can't have the dinner dance because that's not the band we want. Now, that's really that'll become the question that will maybe determine how this would go I think if you were looking at it in a court environment. So is it worth going down that route? If it's a partial breach of the contract, you might be entitled to some type of damages. The individual or the caller seems to say, well, that date doesn't suit them now. So they've been given even an alternative date with probably that same band. So again, the venue's prepared to sort of honour the contract and comply with it. So I think that I'm just slightly more leaning towards that side on this one. But I can see where the caller's coming from. It might be a situation where, okay, maybe some type of middle ground could be reached, rather than getting involved in very heavy litigation. But the question I think that they would be teased out is whether the band not being available, and because of weather probably, if that is a fundamental enough point to be able to repudiate the contract. And I do have my doubts about that.
I was building a house and I gave my original plans to a contractor who hasn't given them back to me. I phoned him to give them back and he says that he will, but he never does. He says he'll get them to me. I've called to his house 3 times now and he hasn't been home. I've been chasing him for 2 months now. These are the original plans with the contractor. I wonder has he lost them?
Yeah, I think that the person that has employed the contractor or builder to carry out the work should be entitled to the plans back. And so why that gives rise to this, it's difficult to surmise as to why there would be some issue on that. What I think is interesting, though, is from the caller's point of view, if they wanted to tease it out, is who actually owns the plans themselves, because the copyright to the plans may very well belong to the architect or engineer who drew them up in the first instance. So they're actually the person, and the individual has a license to use them for the purpose of building their house, but and obviously keep maybe the physical possession of them. But as far as the copyright would be concerned, it could very well be a case that that copyright is still retained by the person who actually drew them up in the first instance. Why there would be an issue or why the contractor would want to hold on to them, it's beyond me, because I don't see them as having any real claim to them at all. And the individual has obviously paid for them in the first instance for the use of them for the building of the house. So it'd be between them and the architects or engineers, and then the copyright may actually still be retained by the person, the author, the person who drew them up.
All right, unfortunately, time has just caught up on us. Something's popped up. Seamus Gunn, thank you as always for your opinions and your expertise. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Great to have you back on the show for 25, and we'll chat again soon.
Thanks a lot, Greg.
Bye, Seamus. We'll be back with more after the break.
The 9 till noon show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, with an impressive range of hybrid, plug-in hybrid and electric vehicles, giving you the power of choice.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want, and have them printed instantly within an hour, or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Looking for fresh, local, convenient shopping? Mabel Stores have you covered across Donegal. From Burtonport to Ballyliffin, Carrigart to Castlefin, your local store is always nearby. Proudly Donegal owned, we're also in Moville, Milford, Derrybeg and Falcarra. From apples to AdBlue, we have everything you need whenever you need it, whilst proudly supporting local suppliers. Check out your local Mabel Store on Facebook for weekly offers and promotions. Oh, and we also sell fuel too. Mabel Stores. Fresh, convenient, local.
Milford Tiles at Milford Retail Park. Massive January sale is now on. 20% off all tiles in stock, 15% off all bathware, 10% off all wooden flooring. This is the sale of all sales. You've tried the rest, now get the best. Don't miss out. When it's gone, it's gone. Milford Tiles, 083 0910 707.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
According to the Irish Times, the new Dacia Duster SUV is, quote, as well thought out a car as you can currently buy and makes eminent sense, end quote. Well, we couldn't have said it better ourselves. The new Dacia Duster is now available in petrol or full hybrid from €25,990, with a spacious interior and 0% APR. Visit your local dealer to find out more. Price excludes delivery and related charges. Finance is made under hire purchase MFS. T's and C's apply, subject to lending criteria. See dacia.ie.
The 9 till noon show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota. With over 50 years of experience, trust us to help you on your electric journey.
Sometimes it's just bad luck, but sometimes it's negligence. From minor bumps to life-changing injury, every accident has a story. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll assess the situation, advise on solutions, and lead the way if any litigation is to follow. From motor accidents and workplace accidents to slips, trips and falls, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. Let's get you started on the road to recovery. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help? In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Visit Century Complex for a perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play. Hours of fun at our brand new indoor Crazy Golf. Lots of tasty options available in Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing comedies, actions and adventure movies. Get in touch on 074 9121976 or visit centurycinemas.ie for more information.
Get big savings for your little ones at the Dunnes Stores Baby and Toddler event. Mix and match any three for €30 on a range of Pampers Jumbo nappies and pants. Keep them fresh and clean with selected Johnson's Bath and Bedtime, like baby oil and shampoo, now half price. Plus, save at the till with a €10.50 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more.
When you're a farmer, fatigue doesn't just increase your risk of a serious accident. It can also significantly reduce your ability to carry out tasks effectively, which impacts the quality of your work and the productivity of your entire farm. When you're fatigued, your whole farm feels it. Learn more about how to deal with fatigue on the farm at hsa.ie/farm fatigue, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. It's time to save big with the McElhenney's winter sale. Enjoy up to 50% off fashion, homeware, accessories and more in store and online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So a cold day, staying dry with hazy sunshine, though cloud will thicken later. Temperatures 1 to 3 degrees in light to moderate easterly winds. Now, we're talking about a night that has become a mainstay in the entertainment calendar here in Donegal. If you've never been, well, you won't fully get it. You need to go because it's amazing. And it's the Hospitality Awards 2025. The Highland Radio Hospitality Awards are back. It's for the second year running, celebrating the very best in Donegal's vibrant hospitality industry. Sean Quinn, head of sales, Highland Radio's with us now. We're back at Jackson's, are we?
We are, Greg. Yeah. Do you know what? I cannot believe that it's a year. And it would be slightly over the year since we did it last year. So last February we went to Jackson's and it was an amazing night. I think everybody in the room had an absolute ball from start to finish. And because of it was such a success, it was very hard to look elsewhere. And I'm delighted to say that, yes, this year we're back in Jackson's.
We're in association with Fulcher Ireland and Donegal County Council. This year the awards will spotlight excellence across 4 key categories: tourism and entertainment, restaurant, pub and bar sector, and the hotel sector as well, which covers an awful lot. That pretty much under subheadings pretty much covers everything to do with hospitality, entertaining, hosting, etc.
Yeah, and it's right, as you said, it's right across the board. There's 40 awards in total, and there's a great variety, Greg. And what we found last year is our nominations came from everywhere, right across the county, north to south to east to west. Everybody was nominating for different businesses, which was great.
And all businesses, which I like about this, are treated equally. There's no hierarchy here as such. You can have your best family venue, your best fish and chips, the pub of the year, the best hotel spa. It's right across the board. Everybody is included.
Absolutely. And that's important too, because let's recognise the hospitality that we have in this county, because it's exceptional. People come and travel and stay over in our hotels. They use our restaurants. They go to our bars. And what we do very, very well, Greg. And it's great to take a night out to appreciate that and respect what people give us. Because sometimes you just land in somewhere you expect. But sometimes it's nice to give back. And I think the night in Jackson's is all about celebration of what we do well in hospitality in Donegal.
Yeah, and one of the fantastic businesses and the individuals behind it celebrated last year was Biddy O'Barnes, Chef of the Year, Best Casual Dining, Best Burger, All thanks to Chris McMenamin, who's with us now. Chris, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, fantastic. And you did really, really well last year. How important is something like this? And particularly when it's driven by your customers, your clients. You know, they are the ones that say, right, you know what? I went in there. The chef was brilliant. I went in there. It was an amazing casual dining experience. I went in there and it was the best burger I ever had. I'm going to go online and vote for this place or this guy. Does that make it extra special?
It makes it very special. It makes everything we do very worthwhile. We don't come in here just to make money and all that. You know, we put our heart and passion and soul into it, which is very, very important. So get that reflected back through awards and everything like that with yourselves was exceptional. And what a start to the year last year. You know, it really couldn't have been off to a better start.
And a great night out too. If nothing else.
Fantastic night out.
Wasn't
you know what
bad.
I loved about it? Going into Jackson's that night, it's like 400 plus like-minded hospitality people. The interaction, you know, like I've been out of the hotel industry for over 3 years now, so we were reconnecting with all the hotels. You know, it was amazing. We sat at a table beside the Radisson and Letterkenny. First time ever meeting them. We connected. We're still connected today. It was an amazing night. And again, fair play to Jackson's because the food and service was first class.
Yeah, indeed. And your business is going from strength to strength, isn't it, Chris? I'm sure when you're coming up with ideas or when you're making a pitch or deciding what to do with business, there's always a risk. But you've got the reward from that risk in providing the type of facilities and nights out and days out and afternoons out that you do.
Yeah, we kind of think outside the box, Greg. You know, we don't just do the same thing every day. We do our chef's tasting nights, and Colin, the co-head chef with me here, he's the brains behind all that. Megan, one of the owners with Aaron, she sets up the rooms exceptionally well. Like, we're all together, we all work together. And it's
now,
very
I want to
important.
make sure this is true. If anyone's threatening you to say those things, blink twice, and I will get someone over there as soon as possible.
Oh, she's behind there. Don't worry, lad, she's there.
Brilliant stuff, and I've no doubt whatsoever that Billy O'Barnes will be nominated again this year, and we look forward to that process because such is its reputation. And again, just to emphasise that connection between the customer and the business, I think it's really, really, really important. That's what makes these awards so special.
Well, that's our philosophy anyway. You know, it has been our philosophy. Just as chefs, we don't think of just the food leaving the past and all that. We have to think of the customer. The welcome is very, very important. That's how the whole experience starts. And the front of house staff, like we believe the food and the service and the welcome is 50-50.
All right, brilliant stuff, Chris. Thanks so very much indeed. Hopefully we'll see you again in Jackson's. And as I say, this is all about the public, and more so this year than ever before.
Yeah, Greg. So what we've done this year is we obviously have our judges, and they have a really difficult task, right? Because we had nearly 16,000 nominations last year, which we skittled down to a smaller number. But what we want to do this year is to change it up a little bit. And we want to bring our listeners into it and the nominations and shortlist customers. So give them the opportunity to vote. So you can nominate, but then you can actually vote within the process as well to try and get them over the line.
So just to whittle that down effectively, you go onto our website right now, highlandradio.com, and you've got 2 weeks to vote for your favourite local business. There are categories and subcategories. If your business that you love and want to support and give a boost to is involved in hospitality, entertainment, service provision in this space, you will find the category for them there. Once we have closed the lines, then we will draw up shortlists in each category. We will still, of course, employ the judges and their expertise in this regard, but at that point we'll also post we'll post a shortlist again to reopen voting for you to endorse that business even further. So it gives you 2 bites of the cherry and really ensures that the public's fingerprints are all over this process, because that's what we want, that's what the public want, and that's what the businesses want, because I think it adds even more pizzazz to the coming out on top.
Yeah, it does. And what we've found with all our awards is that businesses who get involved on their social media with this and encourage and share they benefit because they're actively outsourcing, looking for nominations, and now they can actually look for votes as well. So if they have been shortlisted, and that'll be around about the 29th of January that we'll actually go out for voting. And there's a window of to roughly about the 10th of February it will close, and then everything then goes to the judges for the final decisions. So it's a great opportunity to get involved, not just for the public and for our listeners, but for the business.
Right, so let's talk categories. I mentioned it could be the best fish and chips. It could be the best family venue. But this is a catch-all. If you're involved in hospitality or service giving in this area, you're going to be there's going to be a category for you.
There is indeed, Greg, and there's some hotly contested ones as well.
They're all hotly contested, you idiot.
Last year, the Hotel of the Year was that was the crescendo of the night, and we had most of the hotels in the county in the room, and it was definitely the one to win last year. Will it be the same this year? I think there's Restaurant of the Year will be up for grabs again. It will be a very interesting one.
Pub of the Year.
Pub of the Year, yeah.
And I think the family and the best family venue is a very interesting one now, because without mentioning any businesses, there's lots of offerings there, and also too, by the way, and we get the great thing about this is we get nominations from all over the shop, right?
Yeah.
But like I would know personally, amazing family venues that are in rural areas.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to see them nominated as well, because we want the maybe the more obvious ones in there, right? I can think of 5 or 6, but also there are little, even if it's a community area or whatever it might be, that has a commercial element to it. There are these amazing sort of family venues in different parts of the county as well. We want to hear from all of them. If they mean something to you, if you want to reward them and their staff with recognition, because even getting involved in this to be nominated is recognition in and of itself. We want, again, a massive sweep right across the region, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what, Greg? I think we got it last year, and I think we'll get it again this year.
Defo.
When you get over 16,000 nominations, that means there's a lot of people getting involved here. But you're right in what you're saying. Every business deserves to be recognised if they do the business that they should be doing, and they obviously do if you're a repeat customer.
Now, don't forget, you can, if it were me, if you're involved in tourism, identify where you believe that you should be, that you feel you fit, and stick it on your social media. Say, listen, guys, hopefully you enjoyed our service throughout 2024. If you did, give us a vote. Or give us a nomination. That's a great thing to do. Now, a lot of this is consumer driven, right? But there's no harm in the businesses to give their fans a little bit of a push on.
Absolutely, go look for it. Every business works hard. They're self-employed. They're entrepreneurs. There's key staff within businesses. They deserve recognition, Greg. When I'm on here, just wanted to also thank Northwest Gas and SafeTech. They're on board again with us this year in categories. So we're delighted to have them. And our main sponsors, it's great to have Fáilte Ireland and Donegal County Council on board with us. We're looking forward to working with them in the coming weeks. But from a social point of view, check out our social media pages. We will start posting up information about how to vote. It's really simple. It takes about 2 minutes to do it. Click the link and tell us a little bit of information about why. Why would you think this business should win? Because that helps the business, believe it or not. And if it takes you an extra minute to do it, please do it.
So, for an example, in the bar and pub section, best beer garden, you know which one you're thinking. The country bar of the year, the best bar food, the best pint of Guinness, the best cocktail, the best late night bar, and then overall the pub of the year. So you can get a sense of what we're talking about here. If you go to a place and you go, you know what, I really love this element of it, support that business. It's really, really, it costs it costs nothing, it costs very little just in terms of a small amount of your time, and it could really give that business a great, great boost. So go on to our website, highlandradio.com. You don't have to write an essay, but a few words endorsing the business is good as well and helps us whittle it down. But for now, Sean, I'm sure we'll talk about it again. But one of the biggest nights of the year is scheduled now. Jackson's Hotel. The voting is open for the Hospitality Awards 2025. Check out highlandradio.com.
You couldn't put it any better, Greg. Let's see people on, and let's reward these businesses. And thanks a million. And as I said, we will update you in due course in a few weeks' time.
The 9 till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Stockists of a wide range of used passenger and commercial vehicles.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 9132033.
Shop Homeland's January mega deals. Book all calving sensor now €249, save €80. Cozy Home Kill and Dried hardwood log crate now €249, save €50. Bold 100 wash lavender and chamomile washing powder now $19.99, save €7. Offers end January 26th. Visit your local Homeland or homeland.ie.
Massive clearance at Evolve Clothing Letterkenny Retail Park. Ex-hire suits from just €5 and €10. Yes, only €5 and €10. Don't miss out. Our biggest ever reduced to clear winter suit sale. Shop now and save big.
The dawn of a new day. The arrival of a brand new year. Awe-inspiring at every turn. Much like the Audi 251 SUV range. From the spacious Audi Q3 to the multi-talented Audi Q5 plug-in hybrid. This is luxury and versatility that rises to every occasion. This is Audi. Vorsprung durch Technik.
For all your pharmacy needs, visit the new Brennan's Pharmacy in Letterkenny, now open at the Fort Retail Park right across from the New Dunn Stores and Costa Coffee. With 600 free parking spaces in a convenient location, we're ready to help with all types of prescriptions, medicines, pharmacist advice, vaccinations, plus an extensive range of skincare, vitamins, gifts and much more. Can't make it in? We offer local home delivery within 10 kilometres of Letterkenny, perfect when getting into town is tough. So for all your pharmacy and prescription needs, trusted advice and friendly service, come to the new Brennan's Pharmacy Letterkenny. Call us at 074 970 8060. We're here for you.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And we're heading into the last hour of the show for this week. That's entertainment. Michael and Fionnuala are going to be opposite me very shortly. But first, let's get a news update. And it's good morning now to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Gardaí have confirmed they're investigating a report of a complaint of an alleged fraud at a business in East Donegal. The complaint was made on December the 19th and is believed to have involved a number of people at the major manufacturer in Ballybuffet. Gardaí say the investigation is ongoing. Met Éireann is warning perilous conditions will persist in some areas into tonight. A nationwide status yellow alert for low temperatures and ice ends at midday. However, melting snow may freeze again, meaning people still need to take care when walking or driving. The Donegal Mountain Rescue Team were tasked last night following reports of lights on Errigal Mountain. A member of the public raised the alarm at around 11 p.m, with Gardaí from Letterkenny, Milford and Falcarra also alerted. However, some were unable to travel to the scene due to the hazardous road conditions. DMRT was eventually stood down shortly after midnight, as it was established a group who had decided to climb the mountain without informing anyone of their plan were safe. Engagement between Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil and independent TDs will continue today. All sides are expecting to work through the weekend to progress the government formation process. Well, the former Donegal TD has said any deals with independents ahead of the formation of a government should be published in the interest of the public and also of the politicians themselves. Thomas Pringle, who represented Donegal as an independent but never himself entered into a government formation deal, says it can be very difficult to tell when a grouping of independents loses the right to retain the title and effectively becomes a political party. The majority of the Gweedore area remains without water again today. A burst to a water main yesterday morning is disrupting supplies, with works not scheduled to be completed until 3:30 this afternoon. Ishgarn is advising that a tap located at Nowdock in Derrybeg is available for those affected. And in the US, police in Los Angeles are investigating suspected arson in connection with the latest fire that's broken out there. 10 people are now known to have died in multiple wildfires in Southern California, which have been burning since Tuesday. Around 180,000 people have been evacuated from their homes in the suburbs of LA and Beverly Hills. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Michaela, thank you very much.
How can I help? It's a question I ask my patients every day. It's a question I ask myself. One thing I've learned is that I can help even more when I can easily connect with
physios,
pediatricians, specialists,
nurses,
who are all working with me in a healthcare network that takes a wider view of your health. That's VHI, where healthcare connects. So let me rephrase the question. How can we help?
VHI, because your health means everything.
Okay, that is entertainment. It is Friday, the first Friday of the year for us here on the 9 till noon show. Of course, actually, it's not. It's the second. It's the first with Fionnuala here. I've got myself a little bit confused. But anyway, we're going to talk all things entertainment, and we want you involved in the conversation as well. Have you been doing anything interesting? Have you any plans? Have you been watching anything? Did you go and see anything? Make some recommendations, and it influences what other people watch and do and enjoy and how they entertain themselves. Okay, we have in studio with us Fionnuala Rabbit.
Hello.
Michael's joining us for once. He's for once,
I know.
actually. He's the second in.
I'm very excited because this is unlike me to be the punctual one.
I know.
As I say to everybody, if I'm here.
Can I just say, by the way, sitting down as the intro music is playing would not be what I'd class as punctual.
Oh God, no! Anything once I'm within the 15-minute mark. once I'm not over 15 minutes late, I consider that on time.
All right.
I'm very happy with that.
Christmas and New Year? Did you have a good time? We haven't spoken.
My Christmas and New Year started off amazing because, as I keep telling everybody, I have the best grandbaby in the world, and he just turned 1 before Christmas, so he was very exciting because he's getting nice and big and he's playing grandma off against his parents.
Lovely.
So if they're trying to say no to him, he just comes toddling over to me with his arms out. And of course, then he gets exactly what he wants. I plan on ruining this child. But then everybody got sick. Oh my God, it was just like, Jeannie Max. We had a lovely time, but then next minute we were cocooning in. And luckily, my son-in-law has a bit of a bog, so we had lovely turf fires and everything. So we were all just under blankets watching the darts, which has really become, since my daughter got married and I started hanging out with this lad that's now part of my life. Darts is now part of my life at Christmas, and I was even in the pub one of the nights, and I'm looking over people's shoulders who are taller than me, going, Jesus, how's he getting on there now? Is
it's astonishing how it can pull you in, isn't it?
It really does. It really does. And as I'm being pulled in, I'm still like, this is ridiculous. What has happened to you?
It's just a very simple form of entertainment that's effective.
Oh, it 100%. But listen, am I the only one though? What's with the girls?
The dancers?
What is? I just don't get it.
It's every time bit of pizzazz.
But it's not giving you pizzazz. You know what I mean?
I don't really see their function because this is going to sound incredibly sexist, right? You don't even get a good look at them.
No, 100%.
I know
that. You're right.
I know that sounds terrible,
what I mean.
right?
It was there
but if it's there for eye candy, you don't get a good look at them.
No, they're not. Oh, like
sounds terrible.
They're not like glammed up. If you know what I'm trying to say, it's not like as if they're there like Las Vegas dancers.
I think it's for the live audience. You see, I think the whole thing of the darts is it's the live audience experience, and maybe there's a benefit that we don't get it as
maybe
as
we
TV
don't see it
viewers,
on the TV part.
It does feel a little bit of a time that's not now.
And I just think there's something, because I don't find it hilarious when you're watching it. There is something about darts that just doesn't seem to be able to elevate itself up to classy Bernstein.
I don't have your list, by the way.
Oh, here we go.
Thanks very much indeed.
But I have to say it was fantastic, and Luke Littler was amazing. It was unbelievable. I didn't think he was going to pull it off against Gerwin
Van Gerwen, Michael Van Gerwen.
Michael
yeah.
Van Gerwen, there
Yeah,
you
it was
go.
interesting.
I'm telling you, I'm getting all their names.
We had Superchin and Darryl Gurney on too, reflecting on it earlier in the week too, which was nice to get his insights. Michael, good morning to you. You're very welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Greg. It's great
Very
to be
good.
here.
I hope you've got
How
your
are you?
snow tyres on for coming up that hill. did you?
Yeah, that was a longer walk than usual. About a 40-minute walk turned into like 55 minutes, which I
Wow.
didn't anticipate. But it was
Amazing.
okay.
Yeah,
But
it's fine.
It did strain me.
I didn't see it on your list,
Yes.
but it's just in case anyone wants a decent show that is very bingeable for the weekend, and it's on Netflix, and it is called The Breakthrough. And it's a real story about a cold. Well, it's not really a cold case, but it's a murder, and it's really quite contemporary. But it's a murder that happens. It's not really very murderous, if you know what I mean. It's like a murder that happens, and this is in the description of it, and it goes cold. And then a genealogist teams up with the person investigating the crime 16 years on. This was in 2019, 2020. And it was the second biggest ever investigation in Sweden. So the Swedish people would be very aware of it. But it's 4 episodes. It's on Netflix. And it's very bingeable in one sitting if you want. So I enjoyed it, actually. It's dubbed. But I didn't really mind it.
And the name of it is
The Breakthrough.
Breakthrough.
Some of I note that some of the streamers now are employing artificial intelligence now to match the mouths with the words.
Yes.
So dubbing is going to change quite significantly through 25. New programs. You're not going to get this late. But it's called The Breakthrough. It's on Netflix. I think it's about 4 or 5. But very, very watchable.
I'm just looking at it here because I didn't even see it on
really,
Netflix,
really
so
watchable.
it
Very
must be new.
watchable. Yeah, good show.
Yeah, 4 episodes.
Mhm.
I'm definitely putting that on my
Yeah,
list.
no, do you'll enjoy it because it's a story that's real. It's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it all makes sense. And there's no crazy twists or what have you. So I really enjoyed that. So I'd recommend that for what it is worth. I also was doing a big deep dive into older films this last while. I've given up on anything new coming out.
You've seen them all before, to be honest.
The new films, yeah.
Sometimes you wonder why they do them again and not instead of just the way they, what you probably know, Michael, the word for, how they re-enhance kind of the old actual film.
Oh, remaster or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the way they do them up to make them look better.
What I watched The Perfect Murder with Michael Douglas and who else is in it? Michael Douglas is the main character in it.
Perfect Murder.
Yeah, excellent old film. Brilliant old film.
Don't even know that
I
one.
know.
I don't know that one, yeah.
But it's just a really good old film.
Oh, yeah, I don't doubt it. Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
So stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff.
Douglas put out a load of them, wasn't
He
he?
did, and he was in a lot of good films.
Yeah, Falling Down. Rewatch that.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
that's
you
very
probably
good.
haven't seen it for years. The Proposal. Great old film.
Oh, very nice.
Demi Moore's in it. You know what I mean? There's so many, and that's just Michael Douglas's.
China Syndrome was his first big breakthrough, wasn't it? Jane Fonda's in that. That was a great film. Jack Lemmon.
Your punishment for being late
Yes.
is that I'm going to start with Fanula, but
That's
you're
okay.
both on this one actually because it's a cinema offering and it's called Nosferatu.
Nosferatu,
Yes,
yes.
Nosferatu.
Yeah,
I
Okay.
slowed down so that Michael would pronounce it because I keep saying it wrong. We went to see this because this is to be honest, it's a very weird time in cinema to my mind because a lot of the stuff that's coming out now is, again, to my mind, very Halloween-y.
Yeah.
You know the way, as in for the start of the year, you'd kind of think it'd be something kind of like light, or that it would be something, with like depth in the movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Setting 2025 on a whole, what's our social standing thing that we're upset about this year, that kind of a movie. But actually, you look at all these movies coming out, and a lot of them seem to be kind of in the horror or...
There's a few, and they're heavy.
Yeah, they're horror
But
genres.
what are you doing going watching a horror in the cinema? Did we not talk about this?
Well, we went, because I was kind of challenged to do it.
Yes, I did
And
challenge
also
you.
then it was a case between going to this or going to see Robbie Williams.
Which I can't wait to see, which is going to be brilliant because I love Robbie Williams. He was the only talented one, and take that. Take a breath.
Which sorry, Robbie Williams, would rather lie in traffic than have to suffer through 2 hours of him. I actually tried to watch one
Is
of
that
his...
because you don't like him or because he's still peed off with him leaving Take That?
I don't know if it's a combination of everything.
It's
Because
definitely, it's loyalty to the rest
when
of the
he
band.
left Take That, I did want to ring the hotline, and I wasn't
Yes.
allowed because I was 26. But
But you were not scarred
But
by
I
that.
was very upset about it. But
Oh.
it's actually from, and also then I read his, as I said again numerous times, I read his or biography, I should say, which was written by some guy from Rolling Stones, and I was told, oh, this is the quintessential biography, and it made me want to get on a plane, fly to Los Angeles, find him, clip him around the ear and say, for the love of God, as my father would say, use your loaf.
I'm going to say it one more time about him. I saw him singing live again recently. He sang Angels. Sing the bloody song. Standing there,
getting everyone
soaking up the atmosphere with the microphone pointed at the audience. Sing the song, please. You won't see Sabrina Carpenter do that. She's up there shaking her stuff and singing her songs.
Oh yeah.
He stands there letting the audience sing it.
And he just looks so different as well. What's with all the work?
I don't know. It's all right.
Anyways, I watched.
What's this got to do with Nosferatu?
Nothing.
This was exactly. I couldn't go and see Robbie Williams. He wanted to go.
We couldn't have gone to see Robbie Williams because then Fionnuala would have gone on a rant about Robbie Williams on air.
We wouldn't have seen her today.
So we would have,
I'd be still ranting.
Yes.
So then this was my choice.
Luckily we avoided the rant.
Was between Ross. Now you get both. Was between Nosferatu or Robbie Williams.
Yes.
And as you know, I dislike horror, but I was like, no, I'll do. That's how strongly I feel about the Robbie Williams movie.
Wow.
Without having seen it, it probably is. People, I shouldn't say don't go and see it because it probably is amazing. I've not seen anything about it.
I will
this
go
is my
and see
personal
it.
feeling.
On my own, yeah.
Robbie and I have a beef, and that's all I need to say.
Does he know about this?
He's
No,
discussed this.
He's unaware.
Yeah.
He's unaware.
He's unaware.
Sadly, he's unaware.
He's in denial.
But so we went to see Nosferatu. Nosferatu, as most people will know, is a remake of a
silent film.
No.
Yeah, silent. Yeah, it's a remake of a silent film.
There's been 100.
But the original was, you're right, 1929. Max Schreck. It was an illegal. It was a remake of.
I've only
Dracula
just said that because
without
my
the
son
rights.
Lee said it to me, so
Oh,
I just parroted what he said.
I wouldn't have gone that far back with it because there was one that was done
right.
kind of
79.
in black and white as well before that, wasn't there? What's your,
No, that was the original. The original was they couldn't get the rights to Bram Stoker's novel, so they were just like, well, let's just change the names, and they made Nosferatu.
Yeah, because the black and white one.
That's the one, yeah.
So it's a Dracula movie then?
Yeah, it's a Dracula movie in all respects, yeah. It follows the exact same story as Bram Stoker's novel, point for point. And then there was a 1979 with Klaus Kinski, which is also a very renowned, famous version. But again, it's just a Dracula story. It's
Is
exactly
it any good, Fionnuala?
Huh?
Is it any good?
It's a struggle, I have to say. I saw the black and white one years ago. It was one of those ones that kind of popped
This
up.
was obviously before Final Destination
100% before I was frightened by everything. And I defy anybody to watch Final Destination and call me.
I watched all of them in a row. Go on.
No.
You crazy man.
You are.
It couldn't be up to me.
It's coming for you.
Yeah, it couldn't be up to
you. So, anyways, we went to see this. This is exactly what you were talking about. Why they made this, I don't know. Why they didn't just redo, you know what I mean, do up the old one and put it out again. It's fine. I mean, there was people in the cinema that liked it, but to my mind, I just didn't think it wasn't either scary enough, gory enough, or kind of made you care enough about it.
Yeah.
You know, so it is the kind of real original sort of Dracula story. You know what I mean? You have this creature. And he is a demon, and he is attracted to this woman, and it's like they haven't even, they don't know each other. It's kind of in their souls or whatever, and this kind of thing, and she feels being drawn to him and all this. Lily Rose Depp is in it, Johnny Depp and Vanessa Paradis' daughter. You liked her.
That's a very good performance.
See, it's the genre. I would never go and watch this, or probably not even watch it in the telly, because it's a genre that I'm not interested in.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
Well, I tell you,
and there's quite a lot of high-profile vampire-type movies that I haven't watched for those reasons.
Well, that makes sense. It could be something that's kind of different for you in it. I just think I went assuming that I was going to be afraid to walk out to the car.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm not into this, and it gives me the heebie-jeebies. So I thought, I'm going to be afraid now walking out to the car in the dark. I was like, this is going to be brilliant. And it just didn't have that. There was some jumps in it, you know what I mean, but, at this point in my life, I get that when I walk down the stairs and forget why I'm down there. So, you know what I mean? It was very much, so in this, there was a few jumps in it, but there really wasn't anything,
He switches the telly on, and when it lights up,
Did I turn
who did that?
Yeah, are you? You know, the way you go upstairs, then you hear voices, and you think you're being robbed, and no, you
Walks
forgot,
back into the kitchen.
You
The
forgot
kettle's
to turn
boiling.
the telly off.
How come the kettle's boiling?
Exactly. Look at you.
I know.
It'll come to you in the end.
It's called, yeah.
But yes, so this didn't have enough. It didn't have enough horror for me. It like as in if it's going to be a horror, be a horror.
Yeah.
It didn't have enough horror. It didn't have enough blood and gore and guts and stuff like that. It did have a few kind of little bits in it, but I would have gone 3 times over. I remember watching the original and I know I would have been a lot younger and that kind of thing, so you're kind of a bit more into being frightened and that. But I just remember even in the black and white that there was an edge to it. You know, the way that you kind of felt, oh God, this is, getting into my psyche here, like. Whereas in this, it just felt like they were skimming along the surface of the story and they didn't really get down into it. And I mean, there's some very good actors in it that I've seen in other things.
Yeah. Willem Dafoe is great.
Willem Dafoe is very good in it. He's probably the best one in it, but I'm not a big
Willem Dafoe's a funny actor in that he never, he's not an A-lister.
No, but he's very much Willem Dafoe.
But he's very familiar.
Yeah, he's not one of those guys. Yeah, he's never above the title. Exactly. Yeah, he's not.
No,
yeah.
but he's
great.
I think he's not really. Like you never not know it's Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
You can't really step out of it being Willem Dafoe.
He couldn't have done the Penguin, for example.
100%.
All right. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I think it's a good film. Those ladies who came over, that lady came to chat us at the end. Yeah, we were chatting about it and we said, yeah, it's a good film. But I was caught up in the hype, like the way this is being hyped as a terrifying masterpiece. I was looking for that when I went to the cinema, same as Fionnuala. So although I will say, yes, it's a good film, there's nothing bad about it, nothing to say, oh, avoid it or anything like that. It very much left me disappointed because it was just a remake of a film that I've seen before, done in a sort of deliberately camp style, everybody just, giving it something, which I wasn't terrified by at all. It looked great. The locations and the visuals of the darkened corridors of the castle and the hills and the wolves running after the carriage and the city streets. I mean, it looks amazing. But it was fine. It was fine. It was fine. I liked the lead performance, Vanessa Paradis and Johnny Depp's daughter. I thought she was very good. I thought she grounded it very well. And Willem Dafoe stood out. I was just good film, but I was still disappointed at the end of the day, I wanted something
It just
more.
didn't match your expectations.
Didn't match my expectations, which is a shame. Like, you should, I feel I should be able to put my expectations aside, but I was just not, and I didn't really care about the characters that much either. Like Nicholas Houle as the husband of the main character, his storyline, like we've seen that before done in other Dracula films, and if you've read the original source material, that story itself should be gripping because he's this decent guy who's all alone in this big, empty, terrifying castle. But I kept just looking at the screen thinking to myself, oh, that's a real stylish way of doing that. Oh, look at the way they've done that. He's standing on
you were drawn in by the visuals rather than the story.
And one of the things that they did, a stylistic thing they did, was the camera repeatedly steps in and out of POV shots. So imagine it's you and me, Greg, and we're having a conversation. The camera may start completely focused on you and staring right on you, but halfway through the conversation, the camera will do a swoop out so it catches the two people. They did that a lot, and it drew me out of the film every time. I kept thinking to myself, oh, there's the thing the director has done. Oh, there's another thing the director has done.
I guess you.
And if I'm doing that...
You shouldn't be that distracted.
I agree with you. Yeah, that's
Okay,
you're
so what are you giving it out of 10, my friend?
I'll give it a solid 6. Middle of the road.
6. And Fionnuala?
No, I don't want to start too high because the year is long. and this was supposed to be the movie of the This was supposed to be
it was,
setting the tone and the thing of it. I'd only give it about a 5.
Okay.
I wouldn't say much more than that.
Right, but strangely, it's still fine for a night out because you're not going to walk out giving out. You just might not have enjoyed it as much as you thought. And
if you don't like horror, you know the way
that actually might work better
but
for you.
But you like a few jumps in it, then this is the thing for you. You know what I mean? Go and see it. You're definitely going to get your few.
And it's a great film. Not only could we chat about it for ages, but again, bringing up the fact that someone came over and we were chatting, you can chat about it. Like if you go with a couple of mates, you'll chat away about it.
Nosferatu, it's in cinemas since the 25th, so I don't know how long it'll stick there for. But anyway, that could be part of your night out.
The 9 Till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can care for your car with Toyota Relax, giving you a year's warranty with your service. Terms and conditions apply.
Radical new proposals for herds with TB. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, find out how herds with TB could face new 3-year sale restrictions. Farmers rally to clear roads and help neighbours during big freeze. We look back at some of the scandals that rocked farming. Special slurry equipment focus with everything you need to know for the spring. Legal advice and adding a family member to your herd number. Plus, we have 20 ways for you to save money in your tax bill. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Milford Tiles at Milford Retail Park. Massive January sale is now on. 20% off all tiles in stock, 15% off all bathware, 10% off all wooden flooring. This is the sale of all sales. You've tried the rest, now get the best. Don't miss out. When it's gone, it's gone. Milford Tiles, 083 0910 707.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to more with double points this January. Make the most of mealtimes with Tesco Board Via Quality Assured Irish Extra Large Whole Chicken, now just €6.50. And let the lunches take care of themselves with Cully and Sully Chicken and Veg Soup 400g, Activia Strawberry Gut Health Yogurt 4 packs, and Denny Carved Irish Ham 80g, any 3 for €5. Plus, get more from your shop with double points with your Tesco Club Card or app. Shop in store or online. Tesco. Every little helps. Available in most stores. Prices vary in Express.
Octavia, Fabia, Scala, Superb, Kamiq, Karoq, Enyaq, Kodiaq, petrol, diesel, plug-in hybrid, electric, HVO. So much choice, but not that much time. Whatever 251 Skoda you choose, you should order it now, because even though we have a wide range, they're selling fast. See what stock is left at skoda.ie and order yours today.
Skoda. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
Shekelatha ama Highland Radio. Arna Dortugat ag Airgrid. Uproar agus Forbor an go letrahas na Héireann. Airgrid. Pobal a guachtu, era a guachtu. Teshe.
It's 24 minutes past 11. More from Michael and Fionnuala shortly, but I want to welcome onto the show now Bernadette McFarland, writer and director of play 4 Days in Derry. Bernadette, thanks so much for your time this morning. How are you keeping?
Hi, not too bad. A bit exhausted, but not too bad.
Okay. This is a big piece of work, isn't it, Bernadette, in that you're telling the story of Derry's Bloody Sunday from the perspective this time of the women most intimately impacted by the murders. It's being staged at the Millennium Forum on January 24th and 25th. So tell us in your words and from your perspective how you tell this story.
Well, first of all, Greg, I had intended doing another story about Bloody Sunday, one that was already written and which I played in over 30 years ago. And she has since deceased, so I thought it would be nice to put it on. But when I read it, brilliant play, I was in it, but it wasn't for me. I wanted to do a play about women. I'm very strong about, women's passion and everything that they're involved in. So I got involved with the movers and shakers, and I started to look at the Bloody Sunday. The Bloody Sunday and what happened on the day. And I thought, gosh, there's no mention of women or whatever in this. So that's where it began. I met with 13 families in Pilots Row, the Bloody Sunday Museum, and I told them what I had intended doing, because I wouldn't have done it without their permission. And they were all up for it. And I told them that I would be interviewing them. I would create this play, and I would use what they have told me and write it into monologues, telling their story.
And is that because
never been told before?
Is that the authenticity that you wanted to get across, and that was the way you achieved that, in that you were dramatizing or presenting their words, literally their words in this work?
Yes, that's exactly it, Greg. What I didn't want it to be a piece of fiction. I wanted it to be authentic. I wanted to do justice for the women. This is their story, and it's a story that had to be told with great accuracy. So when I had interviewed them all individually, I recorded them, obviously, I then came home and started typing up the monologues. Now, had I have typed up everything they said, I would be would be in the Millennium Forum for 2 weeks. But it was work that I had to put in, and I managed to get them down to a story that was relatable to the women, and I had to have their approval. That was the most important part. I wanted their approval. And you know what, Greg? They were more than happy. They were actually, I would say, I was humbled, and they were humbled that at long last their story was going to be told.
And it was the story from many different perspectives through the same experience. Did you notice or come across a commonality as to how they lived their lives, how they coped, how they got through this experience?
Yeah, well, what you have to remember here, Greg, it's only based over 4 days, which was the Saturday when everything was normal. Sunday morning, everything was normal, had their dinner, then went to the march. And that's where it all began. And these women told me about how they got the news, how they reacted to the news, and how they were at the chapel and at the graveside, and basically ended up with how their life will never be the same, even after 53 years.
There are a few parties in this work. There's you, of course, and the work you've done. There are the women and the stories that shared with you, but there's also the audience, and that's perhaps the variable. You have had an opportunity to put this in front of people already. What has the reaction been from the audience, and has it taken you back, surprised you, or anything in any way?
It actually did, Greg. It did surprise me and overwhelmed me, because I was on stage as well. I played the part of Mrs. Kelly, who was Michael Kelly, one of the youngest of the young men shot. And I was in the front row. Now, when you consider Studio 2 is quite a small studio, the alley was much bigger. But in Studio 2, I was in the front of the stage and I could hear the crying. I could hear the crying, and I tried to avoid eye contact with any of them. But it was very, very sad. It's very sad to see them. And people say it's 53 years ago. It's like it happened yesterday for a lot of them.
But Bernadette, you know, even for those of us who either lived through Bloody Sunday or the Troubles more generally speaking, you know, we think we have a sense of what went on, and we often don't. But there's a number of generations since that were born after the peace process and perhaps don't really know what went on, what life was actually like, particularly for those 4 days. Have you found that for at least some of the audience so far, that it's been an eye-opener, that they've said, okay, I thought I knew, but I did not know?
That's 100%. They did not know. Now, the only way younger ones, I mean, even the cast, there's cast who are playing the younger members of the families. They had no idea. And they couldn't believe just what happened and just the total injustice of it all. And they said, you know, we've been educated here tonight. We had no idea that A, B, and C happened, or this, you know, and it was mind blowing, because you assume that everyone knows everything about Bloody Sunday. But me, as the writer and director, and as someone who was on the march, I didn't know half of it either.
And I suppose, too, it's crazy, isn't it, that I presume, at least for some, if not all of the women that you spoke to, that it took 50-odd years, 53 years, for them to get a voice.
That's exactly. And, you know, and that's how, if you see the programme, it says, we are now telling you the untold stories. And these untold stories, they would break your heart. And as I said earlier, listening to the stories and me delivering them on stage, well, the response from the audience spoke for itself. And then they come up to me afterwards and said, you know, we had no idea. But the families come up to me after, and some said it was cathartic for them. And we have it on again, as you know, but some of them feel they couldn't go back again.
Yeah. Yeah, we can imagine.
And you would understand why.
And also because it is over half a century, but it's also like yesterday for many. I think it's an important piece of work for many reasons, as you've been outlining. It is the 4 days in Derry. It's in the Millennium Forum on the 24th and the 25th of January. It's a story told from the perspective of the women most intimately impacted by the murders. And it's been incredibly well received so far. A fantastic setting for you to go along and watch. The 24th to 25th, contact the box office for ticket details. Bernadette, I hope at some stage you'll be able to draw breath. I can only imagine how emotionally draining working on something like this is, because you absorb people's grief and loss and emotions, and you're at some point are going to have a cathartic experience yourself, I'm sure, in all of this.
Absolutely, because, I mean, I was only a young girl and I was there for all the wrong reasons. I was there to see the crack, to see the fellas. And in fact, my granddaughter is now playing my part of the young girl at the time of Bloody Sunday. So, yeah, it's been amazing. And the first act is, it's funny in parts, but it was normal life. And I wanted to show what life was like before it hit us.
Lovely stuff. Bernadette, lovely to speak to you. Thanks so very much indeed. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Back with more from Michael and Fionnuala after these.
The 9 till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny. Home to a wide range of Toyota commercial vehicles. Your perfect business partner.
An raibh is agat go raibh droch humor. Imní. Vibe cuddalta. Agus stras. Mar chuid de do bheabhar láinse. Cóhairtí a déadach a bheith níos deachra a ahans an it féin. Chun tacaíocht farsanta áil a déadach cabhrú leat. Ban úsáid as an Eirlis má phlean meabhar láinse. Ag yourmentalhealth.ie ón HSE.
How we use electricity can be smarter, cleaner and greener. At Electric Ireland, we can help guide you there.
You're looking up.
You see, our new Net Zero Hub has all you need to know about smart meter plans, EV tariffs, solar panels, and much more. Making your usage clearer, your trips greener, your home cozier, and your world brighter. Find our Net Zero Hub at electricireland.ie.
Glebe Builders is a leading construction company in the Northwest with projects in operation nationwide. Their reputation for excellence has led to significant repeat business from clients and the continued growth of Glebe Builders. They currently have job opportunities in Donegal for an operations director, contracts manager, quantity surveyor, site clerk and project manager. For further info, please send your CV to jobs@glebebuilders.com or contact the hiring manager Charlotte Kelly on 086 032 4692.
Atlantic Travel is ready to book your cruise. Book early to secure the best price and best available cabins, including those limited family suites. See and sail the Greek Isles, cultural cities of Italy and the Croatian coastline, or venture further afield to Asia and Japan, or an Alaskan adventure. Spread the cost with payment plans. Atlantic Travel Letterkenny, the cruise experts, having sailed extensively with all major cruise lines.
You come back as Michael and Fionnuala continue to converse, no problem. Hello Space Boys, a podcast out at the moment.
Yes.
Now, I'm able to listen to podcasts in the car, but outside of that, I don't seem to have the time or space, and still I've conditioned myself to such an extent that listening to podcasts is a way of falling to sleep that it's
Well,
just
not
not
while
working
driving,
for me.
one
And I have
hopes. Not while driving.
Not whilst
No,
driving,
because then
of
I'd fall
course.
asleep when I'm driving.
No.
I'm very bad but I'm very bad that if I do one thing, you know,
Yeah.
like as in when I read, if I read anywhere, if I was standing on my head and I started reading, I would eventually doze off.
My car
That's my
podcasts
thing.
are
We gotta
often
put that to the test.
chat and conversational. But then you see, I have to listen to the radio in the morning by choice. I
Yes.
want to, right? So it just really often leaves the commute home. Really, that's just my little window for me to listen to that kind of stuff, because that's what I do. But anyway, hello Space Boy.
Yes, hello Space Boy. Yeah, there's a couple of podcasts I've listened to. The other one I'll save for next week. I'm a huge David Bowie fan. Massive David Bowie fan. Yeah. Like at the end of the year, Last FM chronicled all my listener, and I listened behind Frank Sinatra, who had some like 850 tracks. It was David Bowie. I had like 700 and something, like 2 tracks a day. I'm always listening to David Bowie. This is about David Bowie and it's absolutely fascinating story that I was not aware of. It takes us back to the late 1990s, and it's twofold. There's two things in this podcast. It's a 1 hour, 45-minute RTE podcast from just before Christmas. So there's two things in it. First of all, you're looking back to the 1990s, and you're looking at a story of Bowie in Ireland, and the story of a mad party/concert that he gave that caused all sorts of problems in a residential area, which is a very cool, very interesting story of a rock star just having a mad party which turns into a mad sesh. And it's also about some of the work he did and the interview, an Irish guitarist who worked with him on a couple of projects. And that side of it is very interesting as a Bowie fan. The other side of it, and the A story of the podcast, is about a guy called Dara O'Kearney, who's a very interesting character who is also a Bowie superfan. Kearney is a professional poker player now, and he's a very interesting man in his own right. In the late 1990s, Bowie, who was an innovator, was one of the very first megastars to embrace the internet. And he set up an online site, a forum for his fans, and it was Bowie World, I think it was called. And it was ahead of the curve, like it was big time ahead of the curve, where people could meet virtually. And he wanted to have like virtual cities and virtual alleyways and he really was an innovator, and he really had his thumb on the fucking pulse of what was coming down that pipeline. One of the things, though, he did about this website was he started beginning to charge fans to be a member of it. And in other Bowie forums, Dara was very vocal about this, and he was very vocal about being against this. And this is where we get to the hub of the podcast, because Dara got an email asking him to elaborate why he was unhappy about the cost. And the email was signed DB.
The man himself.
Well, we don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dara and DB.
I love the way you're trying to create intrigue on something that no one gives a flying
I know.
hoot about.
Well, that's what the point of the thing is. Over the next,
was it?
Or was it?
Dun, dun,
dun, dun, dun.
It was David Brent.
Over the next several years, Dara and DB continued a daily email relationship or conversation. Through the late 1990s, again, this is when email was just a brand new thing, and the idea of having that kind of access to a superstar was unheard of. Now, Dara talks
or Jimmy that lives under the stairs.
Yeah. Dara is interviewed, and he says that at no time did DB ever say who he was, but there was unmistakable, clues as regards. He would go quiet at times when Bowie was maybe doing 3 concerts in America or something like that. There'd be no emails for like 4 days.
Do we find out an answer to that question conclusively?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Well, I don't want to give away the ending of the podcast, but I'll give it this way. Eventually,
Dara the email stop when David Bowie dies?
It stops when he had a heart attack. He had a heart attack, and that dialed back. And Dara says at that point he got maybe 1 email every Christmas until Bowie's death. So he said,
giving it away now, but
that's
that's my fault.
His heart attack, yeah. But he does say, well, he also he's.
But he doesn't know it's David Bowie.
Well, he says that the only piece
the
of
man under the stairs could have
easily done it. Yeah. He did say, he said he never brought it up, but he did. Bowie was playing a concert in Ireland. It was around the time of the story that I mentioned, and Dara put it to him about he wasn't going to get to go to it for various reasons, and the replier said, "Do you want a couple of tickets left for you?" So he said, yeah. So tickets were left, and when Dara went down and said, my name's on the list, he said, which was one of the coolest things that ever happened, he was able to go up to the bouncer and say, my name's on the list for 2. And they looked at the list and they were like, oh yeah, you are here. So he said, all he can say for certain, I'm giving away the ending now, he says all he can say for certain is it could have been David Bowie, or it certainly was somebody very close to Bowie.
How long is the podcast?
Podcast is 45 minutes.
Well, you've just saved me 45 minutes.
I know,
so
yeah. I loved it though. As a Bowie fan, I loved it. I loved.
Do you know what? He's excellent, and also
interesting guy.
Very thoughtful. If you see some of his political observations back years and years ago,
I know the one. Yeah,
so articulate and so
some of the
on
clips,
point.
There were things going around. Yes, he was. There's no doubt about it.
He had a lot of nicknames as well. The White Duke.
But yeah, one of the things about Bowie is take away his music for a second. A very smart individual who was very politically aware, and when it came to technology and innovation, again, I kind of knew this anyway to some degree, but listening to this, I was like, wow, he really knew what the internet would become 15 years before. Like, this was before things like Facebook and Twitter and even MySpace and Bebo had come on the scene. he really got this idea that fans would want to meet and talk and set up an identity for themselves and nobody else was doing this in the mid-1990s.
Final question then. What's your favourite David Bowie song?
Everyone Says Hi from the Heathen album, 2003, which I think is a masterpiece of a song.
Do you have a favourite?
No.
I think Life on Mars might be my favourite.
Oh, yeah, the classics, yeah.
Well, what do you mean the classics? Oh, you're not really a David Bowie fan because you picked an A-side.
I just mean, that's the classic.
Yeah.
They're a classic, but
so
Everyone
if I
Says
said
Hi.
Bohemian
Nobody
Rhapsody
knows.
from Queen, you'd go, oh, yeah. Okay, one of them.
I thought you were a fan, Greg. I thought you were. I didn't
So
realize
I
you were.
have to do a deep dive into the B-sides.
Well, I feel like no, I never said that. Although I suppose I was probably thinking that. No, the classics. I listened to the early ones too. Ziggy.
It doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it his best work.
No, I listened to the early ones. I do. I listened to them all.
Best work, wouldn't it be the A-side?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyhow, I stand by the fact that Heathen is a great album. Black Star is a fantastic album. His final album is a fantastic album. It's a beautiful album. I also.
All right, then, of
Fat
the
Dog
obvious songs, what's your favourite song?
God. I was going to say. No, Bombs a bit. There's a song he wrote about George Bush, but nobody really knows that song.
I
don't
told
know.
you of songs that are people know of.
Okay, Let's Dance.
Really? That's terrible.
You were right.
Right, back with
I
more
walked
from
into that one.
Michael and Fanula after these.
The 9 Till Noon Show, brought to you by Kelly's Toyota, where you can test drive our impressive range of hybrid vehicles combining standout styling, an engaging drive and class-leading efficiency.
Hi, Teresa Mannion here with a road safety alert for bad weather. In snow and icy conditions, demist the inside of your windows thoroughly. Make sure your windshield washer system works and is full of an anti-icing fluid. Visit rsa.ie from the Road Safety Authority.
A new year, a new floor. At Florit, we offer quality solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring together with a vast choice of parquet herringbone flooring, all fitted and tailored to your needs. Call in today and see for yourself the fantastic offers available this January. Call Florit today on 087 161 7008 or visit florit.ie.
Is fear heis the méireacht isha ar na gohu ag astóir. Bhuileann go háir do dhuine ar bith go smaoinóidh a bhac nó a iníonn ar PLC a dhéanamh. Mar is céim tharbheith fiúntachaí gan áras.
Fálam gan tornacha le breise dachas agus a lúnt. Aimsir de chóirsa ag thisisfet.ie. Arna hacu ag rialtas na hÉireann agus ag solas.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Gweedore, 07495 325 75.
No matter what the weather, your local Centra has got you covered with everything you need, like delicious fresh bakery, quality convenient meals, and great simple saver offers right across the store. Whatever the weather, Centra's here for you. Centra. Live every day.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. It's time to save big with the McElhinney's winter sale. Enjoy up to 50% off fashion, homeware, accessories and more in store and online at mcelhinneys.com today.
Okay, let's have a look at the weather forecast for today. And it's going to be a cold day. Staying dry with hazy sunshine, though cloud will thicken later. Highest temperatures of 1 to 3 degrees in light to moderate easterly breezes. Dervla Carr is a journalist from Bundoran and is on the show with us now because last night she was on First Dates Ireland. Good morning, Dervla.
Hello, Greg. How's it going?
I'm doing fantastic. So why did you put yourself forward, or did someone else nominate you for the show, or what's the story?
I just moved up to Dublin. I said, why not? I live I work right beside the Gibson Hotel. I walk by it every day going to lunch. So I said, it's at the back of my mind. I was like, look, I'm not having any luck on these dating apps. So why not get maybe a professional to try match me with someone in it?
All right. And they did match you with IT manager Paddy from Kildare. Did he share your confident, outgoing nature?
Yeah, Paddy, he was quite quiet at the start. Tried to bring his personality out of him throughout the date. But he was a lovely lad. It was very easy to talk to, and we had a lot in common. Claire, our producer, she our matchmaker even, she really had her work cut out for her to try to find me a fella, as I'm very, very picky. So she done well.
So you, in some of your sort of stuff that you like, you could recognise that she'd put a bit of effort into it, even if maybe the whole package wasn't exactly what you wanted.
Yes, 100%. I just wanted them GA legs. Anyone that was able to talk about
looks
football.
down at his legs. Oh, you've seen bigger legs hanging out of a nest than me anyway, but sure, look at Claire. Not Claire. Claire didn't have to look at me. Dervla, in terms of the experience, like I haven't watched last night's episode, to be honest with you, but I've watched a lot of first dates, and you have to divulge quite a bit about your past, it seems to be. How much control do you have over that, or is it sort of accepted that, you have to be a little bit frank and honest and divulge, what for some people they might be uncomfortable divulging?
Yeah, I really was myself. I had nothing really to hide. I didn't really talk much about my past relationship. I had one, and that was one and one only. They didn't really want to go into that much. It was more so what you're looking for, what you hope from to come out of first dates. And really, my whole reason was going on it because I really don't like the way we're using the phone and how social media works on meeting someone. I want to go back to the traditional ways of meeting
someone face to face. That being said, it's not very traditional, is it? Because you recognise the faces in the restaurant, you're aware that you're being filmed. Does that fade over time and you can actually sort of get to know the person, or is there always a sense that as much as they might try and mask it, that you're on a set?
They made it very realistic. I didn't feel at all, obviously getting mic'd up and going in and heading into the restaurant and seeing the iconic faces of Matteo and Neil. But honestly, the cameras were very well hidden. I did not feel at all that I was being filmed, videoed and filmed. But maybe it's just my personality and I just enjoy being in front of the camera.
Indeed. And is there a means to an end to in relation to that, Dervla, as a journalist, as a songwriter and as an ambitious young woman? Is there any element to it, and there'd be no shame in that game of sort of getting yourself out there to some extent? Does it have an advantage in that regard?
Yeah, I just really threw myself in the deep end, and I just thought, why not? It was going to benefit, hopefully, my career. It was more so that everyone says I have a big personality, and then I just tried to show it to the nation.
Great stuff. As I say, I didn't get to see it. Many of the audience listening will. But how did it go with Paddy in the end? Can we say if were you a match, and has there been any contact since? Any white smoke?
So we headed straight for drinks after the date to get to know
Always
each
a good
other
sign.
on camera, because I felt that as well, that I didn't get to know him as much as I hoped to over the date, because I felt like it kind of led conversation mostly. But we went for drinks, and then he organised the first date after first dates, and then I organised the second one. And then it was just really, yourself, you're working full time, and he had obviously started a new job, and he was based in Limerick, I was based in Dublin. But we got on very, very well, and we left it on good terms. And
could it have been different if the geography was different?
Probably were, if we were mapped in it. If he was based in Kildare, it could have worked easier, but at the same time,
kind of heartbreaking in a way.
Sure, look.
But it's also brilliant.
There's someone out there, just don't know who and where they are.
Well, you know what? You'll find them when the time is right. Dervla, thanks very much indeed. Fair play to you. Dervla Carr there, a journalist from Bundoran, took part in First Dates Ireland. In Britain, they operate on cities, guys. So it's Newcastle or Manchester or London, and it's easier to match people, I think. Whereas in Ireland, the geography comes into it, doesn't it? Right, Greg, did any of you watch The Missing on Netflix? Did any of us? Did I? Who's in it?
No, it's not on that long. It only dropped over the Christmas, if I'm right. That's the Harlan Coben one that's on. And it's based on Harlan Coben's books, you know, the way he did that Stay Safe and did 5 or 6 of them. I don't know. I started watching it, and to be honest, and I'm a huge Harlan Coben fan. I've read every single one of his books, even his teen. He went through a teen series phase, and I even
some
read
of those can be good though.
And they weren't.
Oh, his weren't.
I read them because I love him. But he, this did not appeal to me. I don't know whether the listener liked it. It's just sort of like overly done. It's kind of like there's a crime that happened many years ago, and the ripple effect has gone through these friends and this marriage, and then it's about finding out 30 years later exactly what happened. That's the kind of basic story of it. The book is excellent, but the show, when I started watching it, which I was looking forward to,
didn't engage you.
Didn't get
Hi, Greg and TV2. With darts and never-ending football, one of the shows I enjoyed was Bad Tidings. But I do agree Chris McCausland has used his visual impairment to his advantage, and usually in a self-deprecating way, whether in a chat quiz show, and has certainly opened his world, especially to Strictly Judge, as it softened Craig, who shed a tear, wrote him a poem, or maybe that was the panto. Oh, no, it wasn't. It is strange that a lot of horror films out now, dare I say, someone must have a stake in it. It's chilling enough outside. And talk about old films, you should check out Talking Pictures. As Katie said, Die Hard's not just for Christmas. Just like Brussels sprouts, you can have all year round. Kevin from Dunlow, big peas, Brussels sprouts. Okay, let me see. There's quite a lot to unpack there. You liked Season Titans. You thought it was great.
Yes.
That other film you mentioned, I'm not quite sure. Talking Pictures, have I seen that?
That's the channel. It's the channel.
Is it?
It's the channel, yeah. It's the channel with,
He does a deep dive in the high numbers.
Fantastic,
He's
yeah.
up in the hundreds, that guy.
Fantastic, yeah.
All right, Kev,
there's
thanks
loads
as always. Really do appreciate it.
Definitely
Sister.
have to have him in sometime.
Yeah, Kevin, would you up for it? Sister, but would he be able to be as funny off the cuff? You know, like I make it look easy.
You do.
No.
Oh, that's what people say
I
about
don't
you.
know. No,
That's what people
quite
say
a lot
about
of
you.
puns in that now that he definitely.
but can he
People
do
often
it like
say
that
to
there,
me,
you know?
Greg, he may not be a real hardcore fan of David Bowie, but my God, his off-the-cuff jokes are amazing.
If anybody
People
wants
say
to
that.
see your ability, you in the play, in the radio play, was amazing.
It was very
I
good.
couldn't get
Really,
over how
really
good
good.
you
Love
were.
that.
Oh, thank you.
Really
I have
good.
to say, I'm
Really
insane.
funny.
Because I
Actually,
thought it was real. You know, I just got all of a sudden I thought, right, I'm going to treat this like it was real.
Well,
He
that's
did,
what
yeah, it was really
everyone
good.
kept saying to me. They were like, "Oh God, yeah, he was very upset about
Yeah.
the name," and I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, I'd imagine he probably would be a little
called
bit."
Sean
yeah,
for
it was
5
no
years.
acting required.
I was
No,
called Sean
my
for
friend,
5
my
years.
best
No, I
mate.
was saying when he keeps saying, "Oh," when
That
she
was
keeps saying it,
out of the
how she
whole
loves
series.
JB.
Like my friend Mary, who loved
Yeah.
the series, she loved that. She was
see,
telling it back
this-
to me.
I-
Greg was so funny.
I can bring this.
Nobody realizes that you're
Yeah,
funny,
you should
Greg.
approach me. I'm on
Nobody
LinkedIn.
realizes you can be funny.
Sister
I'm
Claire
telling
Crockett from Derry, first step on the road to sainthood, live from Spain, will be shown at Brunswick Cinema in Derry at 4:30 p.m. on Sunday. It can also be viewed on YouTube.
Oh,
I'll have to Google that.
yeah.
Someone could be taking the hand. I don't know. Now,
No,
we only have about 3 minutes, but Lockerbie, A Search for Truth. This is why we've talked about these ones whereby we've lived through it and you think you know it all, and the Lockerbie disaster's got an awful lot of coverage. This looks great. That in terms of the visuals, it seems there's a lot of money being chucked at this. What's it like?
Now, it's a very enjoyable thing to watch, and I know I was watching it, and I know people that were watching it that didn't know the story, so they'd be younger, and that they, I, as you say, thought I kind of knew the story. You know, the way is in that it was Gaddafi and it was his people and that kind of thing, and the guy was arrested and he was arrested and that was it. This goes into the story of one family in particular. Their daughter was on the plane, and as with everybody else, sadly she was killed. I was shocked that I didn't really remember how many people on the ground that were killed or impacted on it. That's some terrible stories there, which they definitely should be doing more. There's a podcast for you to get more information on the people in the town, because it was just horrendous. But and it is very big done. I mean, when the plane crashes and all that kind of thing, you're like, oh my God, this is terrible.
Right.
There is, bodies in trees. It's just they've completely, as you know.
I'd say they
visuals
probably
on it
did
and
that on
everything.
purpose to try and drive home the disaster that this actually was.
Because to be honest, we often hear about these things, and you kind of think of them as being out at sea, or you think of them as being there.
And they can be sanitized a bit.
100%. And I suppose we don't let our mind go there. And then if you think about it, at the time that this happened, there wasn't a 24-hour news cycle. There was no such thing as, really being on the ground with it and kind of going through it and that kind of thing. And it was all very
This is the dramatisation with the guy from The Staircase whose name escapes me.
Colin Firth is in
That's
this.
it,
Yeah,
Colin
Firth is in it, and he papers Dr. Jim Swire, and he ends up being one of the spokespeople for the victims' families.
Okay. Well,
And
it's
about the investigation.
I might watch that
kind of
between
thing.
now and next week, and maybe we might kick off with that next week
Yeah.
if that's
Well,
okay. Because
there's
time has
There's a lot
beaten
of
us.
depth in it, and it is definitely where people should check it out.
All right, okay. So we might start with that next week if that's okay.
Yeah.
But we have run out of time, and Michael, thank you very much indeed.
Great
really
to be here.
appreciate it.
Loved it, love it.
You've
Great
nothing
fun.
to plug or anything. Everything's
Everything's-
you've
no,
no place
nothing.
to plug or nothing.
Re-listen to, if you missed the drama, re-listen to it.
Oh,
I
bad to
was
say,
shocked by who
Say
it,
nothing, 'cause I
who
haven't
it
got
turned
that
out
far
to
yet.
be.
Okay.
I totally had my mind.
Nobody
thinking
got
was-
it. I'm shocked
I
that
know,
nobody.
I totally
All
thought
I
it
can
was
say
somebody
is
else.
I've got a lot of depth.
You were the
Honest
best.
to God, the whole way through it, I was like, going, "How is Donald Kavanagh the famous actor of the newsroom when Greg is putting out performances like this?"
Yes, there you
I
go.
was
Exactly.
Like, how has he not
We
been
need
called
to get
by,
Greg Hughes on stage.
the Letterkenny Musical Society.
Need
or,
to get you on
know,
stage.
Michael
fairness.
Leddy, thank you so much.
Oh.
Fanula Rabbit, thank you. Great to have you back on the show again. It's great to have the both of you on together. Okay, that's where we have to leave it. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll chat to you, all being well, Monday morning at 9. Hopefully things thaw out a little bit for those of you who are isolated and looking to get back into society. But for me, Greg Hughes, as I say, have a great weekend, but stay safe and stay tuned.